there are lots of jobs that people used to do that are now done through technology. And so as the demands of the workforce change, we need to make sure that the education that all of you receive prepare you to be successful in that 21st century workforce.
When I was in public school, and it was a few years ago, I was very fortunate to have many outstanding teachers. They prepared me well to take advantage of life's opportunities. Now, in our nation today, we do so many things well, but one thing we don't do well enough, and that is support our talented teachers. We need to find new and creative ways to offer more powerful career opportunities for educators. We need to make the pay equal to the importance of the job. And we also need to do another thing, and that is we need to celebrate and recognize the good work that our talented teachers do. It gives me great pleasure to present the Milken National Educator Award to a truly exemplary educator, Principal Kafele.
Principal Kafele cares about these young people, and I see all the hard work that he puts in and how he inspires the educators to do their job.
We have champions all over this city, from the North Ward to the South, East to West, and in the Central. And today we celebrate one of the heroes of our hometown. I give him my thanks, I give him my gratitude, I give him my love. One more thank you to our great principal.
I'm proud to be the principal of this school. It is a blessing to be principal. I'm blessed to receive this award. And again, Mr. Milken, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to week 300 consecutively. Y'all hear my wife? Of the AP and New Principals Academy. We're going to talk about that 300 during the monologue. Let me stay true to form. Let's see who we got checking in this morning. We got Rod Laws 9653 down in Greenville, North Carolina. We got Dr. Sonia A. Matthew, NBCT, National Board Certified Teacher, now in AP. We got Mrs. Yolanda McKinney out in Texas. I should say Sonia Matthews down in Maryland. Where we at? Lysandra Brackens is in North Carolina. We got a Nadira Coley right here in Jersey. She's in Newark. We got I said Yolanda McKinney. She's out here. Joseph Haruna is in the building. Oh, he's in Rwanda, right? He's on the continent of Africa. I keep telling y'all, man, we're international. We're not regional. We're not state. We're not national. We international, man. We global, man. You kidding me? Let's go. I appreciate you being here, Joseph. I told you last time I saw your name. Let's see if we can get me to Rwanda, right? Where we at? Rodney Richardson's in Hampton, Virginia. Marsha Poe in San Diego. I'm gonna pause on Marsha Poe for a minute. Right? Let's see, Marsha, you playing games with us, right? You know we all out here in this snow. You know that, right? So you said even though you always say San Diego, you say I'm gonna put that exclamation right there. Because I know it's not snowing in San Diego this morning. It's not snowing here yet, but you know we might be shoveling out at like a foot or two, right? Tomorrow and Monday, we'll see what it's going to be. We got Grace Castaneda down in Kyle, Texas. You're gonna get some snow down there, Grace. You know that. Where we at? Takesha High is in Virginia. Dr. Robin Snowden is in Fresno, California. She escaped it as well. She just got the fog. She said Harambe as just to say that. We got AP Patrick Lawrence in the building. Where we at? Where we at? Yeah, I see y'all 300. Elisari Vera, hope I pronounced that right, is in she just said 300. Congrats, I appreciate you. No, she said, where you at? Rhode Island. It's hard to read off of YouTube, but y'all keep going to YouTube, y'all, right? Just keep going to YouTube. I ain't complain. Like that song said, I won't complain, right? Just go to YouTube. It's I keep it on Facebook, I keep it on Twitter, I keep it on LinkedIn, but I want y'all to kind of navigate over to YouTube. So please do that. And I'll just struggle with reading this. Where we at? We got Principal Otis Kitchen II down in Tampa, Florida. I guess you escaped the snow, but you're probably cold down there. Stacy Joy. Stacy L. Joy is in the building, Los Angeles. I had a good time in LA last weekend, but we'll talk about that in a little while. Where we at? Dr. Edwin Garcia, right here in Jersey, Passaic. He said 300. Y'all hitting me with them 300s. I appreciate it. Dr. Rod Law said to Dr. Asia Cunningham, let's go. That's right. Where we at? We got Jeannie. Oh, man, I'm going to struggle with that. This is Janine. Man, it's on YouTube, and it's everything is combined. Y'all don't be separating or giving me a capital letter on the last name. So, Janine, I see you. She said principal. Okay, this makes it easier. Animate. Something like that. I probably messed that up. But my heart is in it, right? Where we at? Dr. Melissa Jones Chunu, I know that name. Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's even snowing down there, right? LaKenya Rowland is in the building, Jersey. I'm getting ready to shut it down, y'all. These are harder to read. I could zip through them on Facebook. These, man, I feel like I'm in foreign language class. Coach Central, I see you, is in the building. Professor Abbott, I see you. He's in the Bronx. That's good stuff. Central Texas for Coach Central. Charlena Hottie is in North Carolina, in Norfolk, Virginia. How could I say North Carolina? Norfolk, Virginia. David Bell, that's on the Facebook, so I could read that real good. Benton Harbor, Michigan. Sean Hurt is in Detroit, Michigan. And I think I'm let me end it there, y'all, because I got so much to go. Let me make sure I shout out Dr. Rachel Adeweke, though, down in Maryland Association of Elementary School Principals President. And I got to shout out, I got two more. Jacqueline Harriet up in Nova Scotia. And then the queen of the castle, Kimberly Broughton Kafele, is here. Let me stop it right there, y'all. I see the rest of you. And I read these later on in the day anyway. I read them all, man. It's a lot of reading, but I read them. Let me say to everybody now formally, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 300. Woo. That's a lot, man. But I'm going to talk about it during the monologue. But let me say that again. Week 300. I will say this. I remember when I was sitting right in this chair during the pandemic. I had grown this crazy beard. It was all gray and didn't even know I could grow one, right? But had it. And I said, welcome to week number 1. Never imagining that I would be saying week 300, right? But we'll talk about that later. But 300 of the AP, 300 consecutively of the AP and New Principals Academy. Man, hey, y'all, I got a question for you. How you feeling? If you in this, if you in the path of this storm, you could be feeling good, man. But especially if you're not the one that has the shovel. But the ones who have the shovel, they probably like, oh my God, this is a bit much, right? But I don't have to shovel. I mean, it's not for the best of reasons. Like, I had a heart attack 11 years ago, so I'm not allowed to shovel, right? And on the plus side, because you got to find a positive in everything. So on the plus side, hey, I ain't got to go out there, man. I sit inside and watch football, right? But on the other side, I got fam. We got money in the drawers. So I could pay people come on over here and shovel all this snow out of here and get these cars right. So we good. God is good. But how you feeling, man? That's just my question that I ask all the time. And I'll also ask you, as I always ask you, what were your wins last week? I just want to remind you of your wins, because sometimes the losses or the deficiencies or the challenges, the obstacles, the pressures, the demands can be so overwhelming that we forget that we actually won last week. We were winners last week, but they become foggy and cloudy. So then you come join me on Saturday morning. I remind you, I remove the fog. See, I remove it so that you can see the wins that you experience. And then you hold your head up a little higher, your chest out a little further, your shoulders back a little bit more. Yeah, I am doing well. That's what that's about. But I'll ask you the question that I also ask you, what will you do next week to take your leadership to another level, right? What will you do next week to take your leadership to another level? Hey, y'all, let me go to these announcements. Number one, don't forget the Fantastic Four. Sean Hurd every Saturday at 10 o'clock. These are all Facebook Live until they tell me otherwise. Sean Hurd every Saturday, 10 o'clock, followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30, followed by us. And then over on Sunday, Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno with the PGP podcast at 6 o'clock Eastern, right? So keep that in mind. Let's go. Shout outs. I just want to shout out Knowledge Con. You all know, those of you who were on last week or you've been on my social media pages, I was in LA last week, Los Angeles. I'm not going to get too deep, but I will say, what a conference, man. You know, young guy. Young man, Principal Amin Ra, the revolutionary principal. I met him when he was just coming to conferences and being in the audience and serving as a principal in Los Angeles. But he has since opened up his own school, public school, and now he left it to create Knowledge. It's just called Knowledge. It's an organization, an education organization with a focus on student attendance. And he put on his first national conference last week and saw it not robbery to invite me in as the keynote speaker, but also awarded me the Lifetime Legacy Award. I have a zillion awards. You can't see this shelf. I cut it off at the books, but there's a top shelf with a zillion glass awards, right? You know, those glass awards. And I had them on camera in the beginning and I took them off. I said, I ain't got to be bragging about no awards, but they're up there, right? And so the new one I just got from him is up there as well. But what a conference. Visit my Facebook page or my Instagram page and see some of that conference, including the reels and all that stuff. And then maybe you'll come out next year. Knowledge, Knowledge, right? That's how it's spelled, Knowledge. And Knowledge is doing big things. He will be on and some of his team about 4 times over the next year. Right, we got a lot to talk about as it relates to education and some of their initiatives. So be on the lookout for that. Let me keep going. Welcome to the first timers. But if this is in fact your first time, that means you've missed 299 sessions. Right. So go to the AP New Principals Academy YouTube channel and binge watch. Right. There's no session that's going to do you bad. Right. Every session is a powerful session, powerful guest, or my solo sessions, they powerful too. Right. So go to AP New Principals Academy YouTube channel and just binge watch them. 299 sessions, including this one, makes 300. Let's see where we at. I should have had this ready. If you don't have your copy yet, y'all, what you waiting for? Get yourself a copy. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? Again, what is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? Just go to Amazon right now if you don't have a copy. Like let's go to the other tab. Keep me open. You'll hear me. You can go to the other tab. Get yourself a copy. It can only enhance what you do, right? It's all about instructional leadership. That is where the rubber meets the road. That is what Sean Hurt was talking about this morning, right? Instructional leadership. Get yourself a copy. I got to do a quick share of my screen because I need you to see this. So bear with me a second. I'm not the best at sharing on this StreamYard, so just bear with me as I fumble through. All right, yeah, there we go. Now where we at? I need to get rid of this. Yeah, there we go. Let me change this background. Real quick, bear with me, y'all. I ain't good at this, right? I need to do like Sheikah and Tammy and have somebody else do this kind of work for me. Where we at? I can't even find what I'm looking for. Oh, here we are. Here we are. All right. That's not it either. Here we are. I was at the wrong one. Okay. Change that background. There we go. I want to make sure that you all are aware, particularly my Jersey people. I didn't mean to do that. Oh my God. There we go. The Nurturing Greatness Summit 2026. I'm co-hosting this along with TISO, Dr. Tanya Breland, who's a Milken, who's also part of the Milken family. She was on with us last week. And Dr. Erica Leek and Dr. Salone Thomas L is our keynote speaker, and then a bunch of breakout session presenters. This will be on President's Day, February 16, in South Orange, New Jersey, at Seton Hall University. Love to see you in the building. So you can register by using that QR code. So just take a picture of that now, or you can use the link that you see there. Take a picture of that. Just take a picture of the screen. And we'd love to see you in South Orange, New Jersey, at Seton Hall University. That'll be all day long, right? So come on and join us. It's going to be a powerful conference. You're off that day more than likely because it's President's Day, so it's a holiday. So just come on and be with us. Nurturing Greatness. Although I'm co-hosting, you know I'm going to have something to say. Right. So come on out there with us, and we're going to have a dynamite day. Right. February 16. Take a picture of the screen and take care of business. Enough said. Let me stop sharing, and we're back up here. Here we go. Where we at? School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele, July 9 and 10 in Savannah, Georgia. So we don't have it up yet, but my partner said that will be on Eventbrite probably by this week. So I'll let you know when the link is up and you can begin to register. We want to see at least 100 people because we like to keep it intimate. We're not trying to get it so I don't know people in the room. So at least 100. July 9 and 10, Savannah, Georgia. We're talking, I don't know what we're talking. Well, no, I do know. We're talking instructional leadership, but it will not be the content from last summer. You know, I like to keep it fresh every year. This is the 9th annual, so every year is a little bit different from the previous years. And now that takes me to my monologue, right? My monologue is called 300 Strong, #commitment. Once again, 300 Strong, #commitment. What am I saying? Hear me well, somebody, because although I'm talking about 300 as it relates to this academy, I'm also talking about you and your leadership. You know, let's go back into time a little bit. It was the first Saturday in May 2020. I believe that was the 4th. I didn't look at the calendar, but I believe that was May 4th, 2020. We were all kind of locked in. We were home, right? Stayed home, shelter in place. So I said, man, I'm working. I was blessed that everybody converted to virtual. So I was working harder than I've ever worked in my entire speaker life because I was doing anywhere from, say, 3 to 5 sessions a day, right? So I was working hard, and quite frankly, I made more money than I've ever made in my life as well that year. You would think that would be when I would lose money, but everybody was going virtual, so I was doing more sessions than I normally would in a day. Normally you do 1 session a day. I'm doing 3, 4, and 5. So made a lot of money, but there were no write-offs, and Uncle Sam hit me hard. Ooh, it still stings, right? So anyway, let me say this to you. I said, but everyone's home, and I'm not talking to everybody. I'm talking to the people who invite me. So I said, let me create a platform where I speak to assistant principals, just assistant principals. And I said, I'm gonna give it a name, Virtual AP Leadership Academy. I'm gonna do this for 18 weeks, the first Saturday in May until the last Saturday in August, and then I'm done. I'm finished. So every week we were going, and we were averaging about 10,000 people a week, right? So then when we got to August, and I'm like, man, look at all these people that are tuning in, right? Either watching live. When I say 10,000, I'm combining the video, not just the live. So I said, look at all these people who are watching this every week, live or watching the video later. How do I stop? I can't stop. So I decided I'd keep going, but I didn't know I was going to keep going for another 6 years. But I did. I never stopped. So now when you hear me say consecutive, because Every Saturday, I'm sitting in front of this computer. Unless I'm in a place where the Wi-Fi is bad and I got to do it on my phone, but I'm doing this academy. That speaks to commitment, right? I am committed to this academy. I really am. We don't have the numbers we used to have unless I bring on some celebrity guest, edu celebrity. Then they'll go up a little bit. But for the folks who tune in, I'm good with it. You know, we average about 5,000-6,000 a week, right? I'm good with it, right? But I'm committed to the people who tune in. I want you to hear that, because this is not easy work. If you know me, you know my schedule, because I post it all the time on social media. I don't mean the physical schedule, but you see me on a plane. I'm on my way here. I'm on my way there. All that kind of stuff, right? Well, guess what? These notes that are typically between 8 to 10 pages, they take me 2 hours to prepare. But I've also got to reach out to my guest, right? So there's a lot behind the scenes. Then I've got to learn my notes, because it's one thing to just brainstorm notes, but it's another thing to kind of have an awareness, a knowledge, and understanding of what you wrote. It's like those of us who write books. Someone could walk up on us and say, you know, that thing you said on page 163, and we don't know, right? It's like, because I've talked to a lot of authors, it's like we wrote it, it's us, and we feel it in the moment, but it doesn't mean that we can recite it to you when you ask us about it, right? You know, some of that is just on the spot. You writing, ooh, that's good. Let me put that down, right? So I want to know what's in here, even though I wrote it. That's commitment, right? So being on here, the preparation, the knowing my material, but then to just do it for 300 weeks. Let me tell you something. I've done this while on vacation in Puerto Rico twice. I've done this while on vacation in Montego Bay, Jamaica, about 4 or 5 times, right? I've done this. I did this in Cancun, right? And they made me pay $1,300 for the space and the Wi-Fi. Oh, y'all ain't hear that. Let me get that to you again, because we're talking the word commitment. Jamaica charges me $350 for the Wi-Fi and the space, because I don't want to do it in the room because it's an island and I don't trust the Wi-Fi, so they give me a dedicated Wi-Fi. But Cancun, Puerto Rico, I trusted. I did it in the room because, you know, it's part of U.S. But Cancun, Mexico, they said $1,300. Guess what I paid on top of my trip? The $1,300. So that I could interview Zaretta Hammond that day while I was in Cancun. That's called commitment, y'all. Someone out there might say, no, that's called insanity. Somebody might have said that, but it's called commitment. I'm committed to this. And I'm asking you the question, are you committed to your craft, to your leadership, to your practice, the way I'm committed to this academy, right? It matters. I'm not bragging. But to come on here for 300 weeks, oh, I missed something. I missed something. I was on here while I had COVID. Y'all didn't know, right? I'll tell you something else. I'm on antibiotics right now in real time. I'm sick. But I'm here, baby. I'm here. When I was in LA, something hit me, man. You know, when you go from 85 degrees on a Saturday to 0 out here in Jersey on a Monday, it was 0 with the wind chill. So I went from 85 t-shirt with no undershirt to 85 to 0. I got sick. But I'm good enough to come on here this morning, right? That's called commitment. Someone said, no, that's double insanity. Nah, it's commitment. I'm asking you, how committed are you? So let me wrap this up by saying this to you. I don't know how long I'm gonna be in the speaker game. I don't. I'm in it now, but I don't know for how long. You know, I'm really tired of them flights. I'm really tired of them hotel rooms. I'm really tired of them rental cars. I'm really tired of them Ubers. I'm tired of all of that. The one constant that I'm not tired of is the audience that's in front of me. I still love that. But the transportation to get there and the sleeping in them hotels by myself, I'm tired of that living. I really am. So I'm in it, though. I don't want no client to say, oh, he might be leaving. Right now, I'm here. But I'll tell you this much. This thing here that I do on Saturdays at now 11 o'clock, we work 10:55, now 11. I ain't never stopping this until I just don't have a voice no more. This is my life. Every Saturday morning, this is my life until either I can't do it anymore or the people in the world out there say, this dude don't know what we live in no more, right? Y'all say that and the numbers disappear, then I say, okay, I'm done. But I think I'll always know your work because I stay on top of what it is. Even though I'm not doing it, I stay on top of it, right? I am the president-elect of the New Jersey Alliance of Black School Educators. So just that alone dictates that I stay current on what's happening in schools, right? So with that being said, I appreciate y'all. Those of you who have rocked with me from day one, because there's many of you who have, I appreciate you. Those of you who jumped on a little bit later, I appreciate you. Those of you who would have rocked with me from day one but didn't know about us and somebody had to tell you or you stumbled on me from scrolling, whatever it is, I appreciate you. But now that you're here, stay here. And don't be deceived by the name of the platform, the AP and New Principals Academy, because some people feel like, all right, I'm not new anymore. No, listen. We just keep it as that because I've already changed the name. What used to be the Virtual AP Leadership Academy. So I changed it to AP and New Principals Academy because the APs were getting promotions. So I said, okay, I can't lose those folks. So we called it AP and New Principals Academy. Well, many of those new principals are now veteran principals. Well, the content is for you. I just don't want to change the name unless I feel like I have no choice. Right now, I feel like I still can keep it at this name, but we'll see what happens, right? But I'm here. I'm here for the long haul. With that being said, I got guests, y'all. I got my Milken guests. We do Milken January every January, and I just go to my Milken Rolodex, if you will, and find me some Milken folks to bring on so that we could talk some education to the fam out here. So let me get them on up here in the order upon which I see them on my screen. No set order. So here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Let's change that. Boom. Good morning, fam.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm glad to see y'all. Those of you who were on with us when I first came on, as they would say, the air, I showed my notification video. And I showed that either that or my profile video during Milken January, just so folks will know what that is. So if you saw that or if you've seen it in the past, these 4 individuals have gone through the same thing. It's a surprise. They didn't wake up that morning, walk into their schools and know that my life is getting ready to shift. They didn't know that, right? They walked into the building. It was just a regular day of school. And all of a sudden there was an assembly and there were dignitaries there and VIPs. And next thing they knew, they got a check for $25,000 in their name and in the status and prestige of being a Milken recipient. And then there's a whole lot that comes along with that. Some of us take big advantage of it. Others of us, we just blessed by the award and just keep moving. So, and then everybody in between. So it just varies. But the bottom line is the Milken Foundation finds, I want you all to hear me well, they find, because they may find one of you. The Milken Foundation, they find great educators. They just find them, right? I don't know how they found me. I have no idea, right? But they found me. And they find you, then they research you, then they study you, then they examine you, and they say, we want to award this person with this prestigious award, the Milken Award. And here, hence, these 4 individuals who you see with these gold pins and myself, where is it? There is somewhere. There it is. We wear them proudly. That's what it is. It's the most, as far as I'm concerned, it's the most prestigious award in education that one can receive, right? So with that said, let me tell you who they are. First, we got Dan Adler, and you see their names on the screen, is the acting principal of Libertas. Is that the right pronunciation?
Yes,
Libertas
sir.
Academy, thank you. Upper school in Springfield, Massachusetts. He's worked in public education. One of y'all turn your volume down for me, or just mute until you speak, because it's a lot of feedback. All right. He has worked in public education for 15 years, including 10 years as a science teacher before moving into various leadership roles. Dan was the recipient of the Milken Educator Award in 2017 and the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science Teaching in 2022. His mission, I'm reading fast, y'all, because I got 4 of them, right? But they're half pages. In some cases, they're shorter. His mission is ensuring all students have access to the strong schools, rigorous instruction, and great teaching needed to unlock their incredible potential, regardless of income, race, home language, or any other factor. Dan is proud to work at Libertas, which has a dedicated focus of ensuring students have the instruction and support needed to reach and succeed in college. He holds degrees in history and molecular biophysics, biochemistry from Yale College, and a Master of Education and Curriculum and Teaching from Boston University. He lives in East Hampton, Massachusetts. Great stuff, strong stuff. Second, a repeater, Dr. Asia L. Cunningham is a transformational educational leader and the principal of Pearsontown Elementary School in Durham Public Schools, that's in North Carolina. With a deep commitment to equity, instructional excellence, and community partnership, she leads a diverse year-round magnet school focused on academic growth, social-emotional development, and culturally responsive practices. Dr. Cunningham holds an EDD in educational leadership and brings extensive experience in school improvement, staff development, and data-driven decision-making. She also serves as an adjunct professor, mentoring future educators and school leaders through practice-embedded instruction. She is the CEO of Accredible. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Incredible.
Okay, Accredible. There you go. Leadership Consulting LLC, where she continues to support the development of aspiring and active school leaders. Her leadership emphasizes restorative practices, strong family engagement, and the development of systems that support both student success and adult learning. Finally, beyond her professional work, Dr. Cunningham is deeply rooted in service. She is an active member of her church community, Apex First Baptist Church, a member of the Order of the Eastern Star, and a proud member of the illustrious Women of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Just had an anniversary on January 13th. Recognized as the district, state, and national levels, Dr. Cunningham is known for cultivating inclusive school cultures where students, staff, and communities are empowered to lead, reflect, and thrive. Dr. Cunningham might have said, how's he know the exact date? Because my social media was flooded with it. That's why. Here we go. Dr. Paul Kelly is and by the way, strong stuff, Dr. Cunningham, strong stuff. Dr. Paul Kelly is a passionate veteran principal with 28 years in education for the past 13. Paul has served as the principal of Elk Grove High School just outside of Chicago, a 2005 recipient of the Milken National Educator Award as a sociology and history teacher. Paul was named the 2018 Illinois High School Principal of the Year and selected as one of 3 finalists for the NASSP, National Association of Secondary School Principals National Principal of the Year, along with his undergraduate and master's degrees from the University of Illinois. Paul holds a graduate degree from Benedictine University and a Doctor of Education from the University of Southern Mississippi. Paul was also named 2020 Golden Apple Leader of Distinction before being elected president of the Illinois Principals Association and inducted into the Heads of Principals Association. That's powerful stuff there. Last but certainly not least, Victoria Lightfoot is a dedicated educator and leader within the Wake County public school system with a strong commitment to academic excellence, the arts, equity, and family engagement. With experience serving as classroom teacher, instructional coach, and coordinating teacher for district-level teacher support, Ms. Lightfoot is passionate about creating dynamic teaching and learning environments that foster academic growth, confidence, and a love of learning. She believes in data-informed instruction, continuous improvement, and empowering students to reach their full potential. She values the arts and empowers teachers to engage students in instruction. It leverages their multiple intelligences. Ms. Lightfoot brings a strong focus on social emotional learning and equitable access to high quality instruction for all students. Her leadership is grounded in the belief that every child can succeed when provided with high expectations and the right supports. Ms. Lightfoot works collaboratively with educators and families to strengthen school culture, support teacher growth, and improve student outcomes. Strong stuff. Good stuff. To the fam out there, we're ready, but do me a favor. Hit the share button, retweet button, repost button, tag somebody, text somebody, call somebody. Let them know we are here, we are live, we are ready to go. Let's go. Hey, folks, when we were off camera, I forgot to ask you to introduce yourselves to one another in case you didn't know, but now you know who each other is. But that was my bad, right? I think Victoria and Asia know each other. And that's my last time calling Asia. We're going to elevate now to Dr. Cunningham. So here we go. I said to you, I just want to throw a question. Anybody jump on in here. What is the evidence of your commitment to your leadership or your craft? What's the evidence? Anybody jump on in here.
I'll go first. I would say my investment in continuing my own professional growth and development so that I can engage myself in the learning, learning cycle so that at all times I'm showing up as the best version of myself for the students, staff, and my community.
I love it. I love it. You know, before someone else goes, Victoria, let me just follow up with this question. I hope this question is okay. I think you aspire to move into administration at some point. Am I right?
You are correct. Yes.
All right. What is the and I know that there are aspiring folks that watch this platform, and that's the motivation for asking you what I'm getting ready to ask you. What is the evidence, though, that you're putting forth the effort to one day be in that position?
So currently I am working on my administrative licensure at North Carolina Central University. So I'm studying hard and I am working full time. I'm going to school part-time and connecting with my cohort and my network to make sure that I'm fully equipped to lead a school one day.
I love it. I love it. Somebody else, what's the evidence of your leadership commitment?
I've been a principal at the same school for 13 years.
Wow.
I got chewed up and spit out during COVID and emerged on the other side, bruised and battered, but ready to rock, and have redefined myself and my leadership style in my school, and truly believe I'm better in year 13 than I was in the early honeymoon periods. Mm-hmm. And that's just because of some of the toughest experiences I think any school leader could handle. And I keep coming up ready for more. And in the second decade, I have no intention of making any change other than keep on showing up and keep trying to improve in the same job I currently have at the same school I'm currently at. So
I love it. Dr. Kelly, stay on. During that period, which based on what you just said was a tough period. What'd you learn about yourself?
Well, I learned that I couldn't stay the same type of leader in that I had been in the past. I mean, I liken it to like, this is a terrible analogy because there's nothing like war, but it's like peacetime versus wartime leadership. And while we weren't in a war, we were in a crisis that rivaled any that you could probably say schools have had to face. Mm-hmm. And what it's like when things are okay is very different than what it's like when people's basic needs are not being met, students, families, and staff. So I had to recognize that you can't just go, you got to broaden your scope and get out of that narrow view of what you think you're supposed to accomplish and recognize everybody's got a different take on what that might be.
I love it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Somebody jump in here. What's the evidence of your commitment to your leadership?
I'll jump in next. When you asked me this question, I really think it's the babies that come back and see me. when I think about starting as a teacher assistant and now leading in the principal seat, it's all the people I've impacted in between all those various roles. And so when I see them come back and see me leading the school where I taught them, or their parents, it's evidence to me that the work I'm doing is making a difference. It's the students who are now teaching for me in the building who I once saw as they walked these very halls. And then the leaders who now I have the opportunity to mentor and give back to. It's like building your legacy of leadership and the people that you touch.
I love it. I love it. And Dan, in that acting role, talk to us.
I think for me, the biggest evidence of my commitment is how I try to show up for staff and students. And especially I think about staff, the thing that really matters to me. I taught for 10 years before I moved into leadership roles. And I remember what it's like to be a teacher. And I try to remember how people showed up for me or how I wanted them to show up for me. So yesterday I was thinking of leaving the building after school. My biology teacher said, "Hey, can you support me with this lesson?" And I say, yes. I had a teacher who had a really rough week and asked to speak with me Thursday. And I said, yes. I have a bad habit of saying yes, and it leads to some later nights. But I think the biggest evidence of my commitment is if people need my support to be successful, I need to support them, because my primary job as a leader is to take care of my people so they can educate the kids and then make sure that I'm showing up for kids too when they need me. So that's what I'd say.
I love it. And that yes is funny because it can lead to them later nights, but it's got so many assets to it as well, right? And I had the same. I still have the same habit of yes, and it makes it forces you to work more, but there are rewards that come with that, So good stuff. I love it. Let's go, Dan. Let me stay with you. I want to quote something I read in your bio. It says, his mission is ensuring all students have access to to strong schools, rigorous instruction, and great teaching needed to unlock their incredible potential, regardless of income, race, home language, or any other factor, right? Talk to us about the commitment to rigorous instruction from your vantage point as acting principal.
Absolutely. A thing that I talk about a lot, I don't know how many people listening have read a paper called The Opportunity Myth, but the basic premise of it, because I talk about this all the time, is that a lot of students get decent grades and then get ready for college. They're about to go and they found out they were sold a false bill of goods. They were told they were ready, but it turns out their coursework wasn't actually ready.
Yeah.
That they got A's, but they're not college ready. And then they have trouble sticking it out and graduating college and getting all of those benefits that come with it. So a thing I talk about a lot with my staff is kids deserve you showing up, but they also deserve you making sure that they're learning grade level content. Make sure that they are learning like in a meaningful way that puts the thinking on them. Make sure that they are doing the thinking, not you. Because the other piece of that, when we talk about the regardless of race or income or home language, is that thing I just shared about who gets hurt the most by bad instruction. It's our students who get shut out the most, right? It's our Black and brown students. It's our students who show up where Spanish is your home language. And they're the ones who are most likely to get that instruction that's not at grade level, not rigorous. So a thing I bang the table for and my teachers know is they deserve rigor. They deserve you making sure they are doing the thinking and the high rigorous thinking. And my teachers know it can't just be about strong culture. It is about strong culture. It is about support, but students also just deserve making sure they are getting college ready content all the time.
I love it. And you talked about in that same passage, strong schools or strong school. So I guess it's going to overlap, but just talk to us about the commitment to a strong school. Again, from your vantage point of what you do as acting principal.
Yeah, I think being committed to a strong school in my vantage point kind of means a thing my staff giggles at because I say it a lot is you have to hold both. You have to hold a lot. I just talked about rigorous instruction, but it also means you show up for basketball games. It also means you show up for dinners after school to support language learners. It means you talk about strong culture, you connect with parents, and then you go teach, a really incredible history or science lesson. And it's tough. I mean, we do work that's really meaningful and it's hard work, often underpaid, and that's tough. But I think a thing I really try to do is shine on staff who do show up in all those different ways because no one of those is going to get it done for kids who deserve everything to get to college and be successful. So I try to model that by doing the things I just named, by showing up in class, by staying late, by supporting kids. And I just think when you talk about those strong schools, you have to hold a lot and be a lot. And I'm proud to work at a school that does that and to try to model that in my own practice for my teachers.
Love it, love it, love it. Dr. Cunningham, your bio, it states with a deep commitment to equity in instructional excellence and community partnership. She leads a diverse year-round magnet school focused on academic growth, social, emotional development, and culturally responsive practices. Talk to us about your commitment, and you know this is my word. Talk to us about your commitment to equity from your vantage point of principal.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone here knows the state of that word right now is tough, and it's tough to lead around that word. However, even if we name our children and we name their data points as they are related to those children, we continue to see that our Black and brown children need us to show up for them and lead for them. And so for us at our school, we do it through our data. We're truly looking at what students aren't getting it and how are we ensuring that they get access to it on a day-to-day. Just, thinking of my staff this week, we're talking about what's happening in small group instruction and how are we truly diving down into the small group instruction that's happening inside of that classroom that reaches you so that growth happens for you at the same rate as your counterparts. And so the commitment to that is holding my staff accountable and them holding me accountable to that work and identifying it together. I definitely believe I'm seated as a leader in Durham Public Schools in a league of leaders. And I'm honored by that my staff has that heartbeat that I have, that we are going to do what's best for any children that walks through the front doors of our school. And so whether we do it by identification of their racial identity or we do it based solely on the data and the performance of that student, equity is equity work, and it's hard work, and it's something that we have to do and be brave in it. We invite our families to the tables to have those honest discussions about what's happening for your scholar. Parents have a piece of that accountability in our building. It's a part of the culture that helps us to thrive, all while taking care of the social and emotional well-being of everybody here, because we all come to this building with a story. Something is happening in our lives. So having that pulse check to say, hey, I noticed you're a little off today. Is everything okay? I have a staff member, I walked by her and she's like, every time you ask me that, I'm like, I'm going to ask, right? I want to make sure that the staff is also doing well. I wanted to make sure the parents who are fighting silent battles in their homes are doing well, because if we all show up together for the students, we thrive. We invite our community into the work. They want to know how can they help. They have resources that can allow us to grow, not just my school, but our district. And so I believe in the equity voice across all lines, and that includes through district leadership. And so we leverage those partnerships. That's holding them accountable because we are seated in the community that they too serve.
These are the reasons why I never finish my agendas, because I'm getting ready to jump in here now on what you said. I wouldn't ask you the question I'm getting ready to ask you. I would not ask you if I didn't see that word in your bio and your superintendent, Dr. Anthony Lewis, is on the call, right? So therefore I'm very comfortable in asking this question. He's right here, and you said what you said with him on the call. So that means that equity is a part of what you all do. I want you to talk to the fam out there, because of the fam that's watching or who will see the video later. There are some who work in districts where, as you alluded to in your opening remark, equity is a no-no in their district. How do they lead equitably without necessarily referencing the word equity? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, back to my original comment, the data, the numbers talk, right? So you don't have to use the word equity to say, are all kids getting what they deserve? And that data tells you if all students are being met where they are needed to be met. And so as a school leader, without using that term or using practices or isolating students, you still can do that work for children and inviting their families to the table. I think sometimes we change vocabulary to decide who's getting served. The question is, are all kids being served? And are we giving all kids the very best when we wake up in the morning? So you can eliminate that word equity as leadership. If your district is not using that term, if they don't believe in that term, the question becomes, when you put 4 data points on the table and Asia is one of those data points and Asia is not making growth, what will you do for Asia? And so to me, it's work that we do every day, and we don't necessarily need a vocabulary term to tell us what's best in our heart for children.
Woo! Thank you. Love it. I still had a part B for you. That was just my interjection, right? Talk to us about your commitment to culturally responsive practices, which is also in your bio from your vantage point as principal.
Yeah, a lot of my doctorate was written around culturally responsive teaching and how are we as districts empowering our teachers. We use that term culturally responsive, but are we really giving our teachers tools that help us build classrooms that allow them to be culturally responsive to the students that they serve? And so for us, we unpack that. Every student needs something different. Every teacher needs something different. Our school makeups are different, so therefore we can't blanketly treat all the schools the same. And so for me, I believe equity practice is sitting at the table and having the honest conversation. Someone has to have the conversation and not be afraid to have that conversation. And that starts by simply asking what is needed.
I appreciate that. Strong stuff, strong stuff. By the way, to my fam on the call, anybody want to jump in on anybody else's comment? The floor is always open for you to do so. So if Dr. Cunningham had said something that resonated with you, jump on in there. Right. And that's throughout the time that we're here together. Where we at, Dr. Kelly, your bio, I'm coming from the bio on all of you for this opening segment. It indicates that in addition to your Milken recognition, your leadership has been recognized on both the state and national levels, which translates into you, this is my opinion, into you leading at a very high level. Because you have a lot of recognition. I noticed when I read your bio, when I received it from you. Talk to us about your commitment to your overall leadership growth and development, which translates into the various recognitions that you've received.
So this is tough because what Asia just talked about is way more important than what you just asked me about. So I'm going to throw back at you. Nobody cares about me or what I have accomplished or why. And so I'm gonna skip your question for Principal Kafele because it's about me, and I want to take it instead to what Dr. Cunningham just said, and then I'll make up some way to say, well, and that's why people say, good job, Paul, well done. There you go. So be true to what you believe, and if accolades come your way, so be it. I didn't look for the Milken in 2005. I don't know why I got it. I don't know. I taught my best. And there it was. Poof. It catapulted me in the room sometimes where I get to say stuff. If what I believed resonated with somebody, then they said, good job. Let's find another way to get you out there. But let me just say what Dr. Cunningham just said that I find profound and then also extremely important. I don't know why schools became a place where individual accolade, individual achievement became the only important thing. Because you talk about why did equity have to become a word that's bad? That is insane to me, that word somehow now means that you cannot do things that are right for each kid. And I think that's deeply rooted in our collective mindset that school is about individual achievement at any cost. You achieving what you want is the most important thing. Why can we not have schools where you individually achieving at your highest can go hand in hand with other people achieving at their highest, and you care not only about your own achievement, but about that of the ones that are right next to you? I don't understand why schools have to be either or, your individual achievement or that of others. Equity is truly about you getting to your highest level of accomplishment, achievement, and opportunity while others also do. I think that getting equity as a bad word, it eliminates the second part, and it means somehow I'm getting hurt if you get what you need. Why? Why is that the case? It's not. It doesn't have to be that way. So a great book, Despite the Best Intentions, which is about how racism thrives in good schools, is about opportunity hoarding and people that believe that if somebody gets something, I can't. Well, that is not true. You can have kids side by side getting what they need, and it may not always be the exact same thing. For some, it may need better understanding of how I need to help other people. And for some, it may be I need to believe how I individually am capable. Those two kids side by side in classes, they can learn those things with and from each other if we help schools become those places where that's possible. And so if I believe that and make people think, good job, maybe that's why people ask again, hey, what do you think about this? And then if I say the right things or write it up the right way, then they say, here's an award for you, Dr. Kelly. And great. I didn't give them back. I'm super happy, but truly, I'm here for the work and for the school I'm at and the kids. There, I'll stop.
No, I love everything you said. I'm the same way. I'll even say this much, Doc. My first day as an assistant principal, 1998. A principal. We were 3 schools within a building, right? So we interacted with one another. So one of the principals of the other school, one of the other schools, he comes to me and he says, Kafele, those awards that you hung up in your office, because I had all these plaques and stuff. He said, they're going to take themselves down one day. I said, no way, Doc. I worked too hard. This is me. I was still in my 30s. I said, no way. I worked too hard. And over time, those plaques not only came down in my office at school, but they're all in a storage closet in this house. Those little glass ones that stand up on the stand, they're on this shelf because they do that. But all those plaques will go on the wall. They're in boxes. Maybe I shouldn't say that publicly, but I appreciate them. But it's for the same reasons that you just said, right? It's like, all right, I got it, but that happened yesterday. I'm dealing with today and tomorrow now, right? So what have I done lately, right? To advance whatever the work may be. So I never thought that would happen, but it did in fact happen. So I understand that thoroughly. But let me follow up with this one. The fact of the matter is, Dr. Kelly, you have performed at high levels. That's there's no denying that, based on what I read in the bio. So considering the audience that checks in, the fam that checks in with us, here's my question. What is the attitude? Because attitude is my thing. What is the attitude that's required for one to consistently, over the course of years, because it's not like this all happened in one time period for you. What is the attitude that's required to sustain a high level of accomplishment as a leader? Because it's not easy work.
Gratitude to those who gave you what you have, because you didn't do it alone, no matter how good you are. Humility. When you mess it up, you did. You really did. Don't try to cover yourself. You did mess that up. And owning things when other people need you to own them. There are times when if you let other people take the fall for something that you created the conditions for, that you actually are the reason that occurred, whether you meant to be or not. And don't let other people take the fall for that. I think owning things when they are not exactly as you wanted them to be endears is too strong a word, but it makes people believe that you are here for this. You're not here for yourself. And if over time you prove that, when time comes, someone will say, I believe that, and I believe in you, and I think you should be the person that we give, such and such to. And and then also accepting that not everybody believes that. There are people that believe I'm full of it, no question. In my building, in my community, there's somebody that thinks I don't even believe that you're truly in this for all them. You got to be in this for yourself. Listen to yourself, stuff like that. And all I can say, I know my heart. I know what I mean. That's all I can say. And then I got to let it go. Come in tomorrow, grateful and resilient and humble.
You talked about that ownership, and even Dr. Sheikah Houston highlighted as well, that ownership. You did something wrong. You did something bad, right? Own it. Yeah, I'm with you 1,000%. You get, because everything is not going to be rosy, right? Everything's not going to work. We're constantly experimenting, trying new things, right? Or we just may make a mistake. All right, own it so you don't make the same mistake again. And sometimes we lose sight of that. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Let's go. Victoria, your bio. It indicates Ms. Lightfoot is passionate about creating dynamic teaching and learning environments that foster academic growth, confidence, and a love of learning. You'll notice that I put emphasis when I said the word confidence, because that's the part that really stood out for me in that particular sentence when I was going through your bio. Talk to us about your commitment to student confidence, but let me add something to it. Not only your commitment to student confidence, but why student confidence matters.
That is an excellent question, Principal Kafele. So one of the most important mindsets that I have as a former classroom teacher is that every student can achieve at high levels, especially if they are in an learning environment that is motivating and empowering. And so if I believe that my students can do it, that's one layer of empowerment. But when they believe that they can do it, that takes learning to the next level. And so one of the strategies that I implement as a classroom teacher was student-led classroom, where students were sharing equal responsibility to make sure learning was happening. And I got a chance to step back as a teacher, the holder of all knowledge, and then just lean into the coach and the facilitator of learning that was happening. And so the students, it took a lot of practice and it took a lot of work, but when someone walked in my classroom, every student, no matter, their academic ability, was leading in the learning and supporting each other. And that is what really led to that academic achievement that my students saw. And so it wasn't just the instructional and strategies and techniques that I was using, but really building my students' confidence and really empowering them to do their best, show up as their best. And if they need help, they know how to ask for it so we can move learning forward.
So let's stay together for a minute. So now in your capacity of instructional coach and coordinator, right?
Yes.
And you get to see, and I want to take this out of your district, first of all. You are consultant somewhere, right? You like the Victoria Lightfoot Consulting LLC, right? So we put that in the air, right? So now in the universe, so now you're working with teachers and well, educators, but in this case, teachers throughout America. This is what you do, right? You had your long principal career, and you said, okay, it's time for me to do my thing, right? So now.
Yeah,
putting it all out there, man. So here's the thing. You're noticing when you go into classrooms that the potential in the youngster is there, but the teacher is strong in content, but is not necessarily, or at least exhibiting evidence that I understand how to build confidence in the teacher, that I can in turn build confidence in the student. Does that make sense? Right? Yes. So we're not seeing that. And therefore students are failing, but I don't have a cheerleader as a teacher who's making me feel good about myself, that now I can elevate my performance. What does Victoria Lightfoot do? I don't even want to talk about the confidence in the teacher on this question. I just want to talk about this confidence in the student via the teacher. What would consultant Victoria Lightfoot do to help a teacher to develop a focus on building confidence in the children, not just delivering content?
So the first thing I would suggest is having knowledge of your students and getting to know each and every single one of them so that you can build on their strengths and not use the things that they can't do as a deficit, because we don't want to approach things at a defeatist mindset. And so all students who come to you, no matter what the background is, they have something that they can positively contribute to that learning atmosphere and environment. And once you get to know your students, you get to see which ways they might learn best. And so, like, for example, I do a lot of work with the multiple intelligence, right? All students have all the intelligence. Some are just stronger than the others. So if I know it's my class is a class of visual learners, I can build their confidence in the curriculum by providing opportunities for them to engage in instruction that addresses their visual intelligence, pictures, drawings, whatever that is. And it works that way with all of them. They might be linguistic. They might like to do a lot of things with wording. And so really harnessing that energy and embedding it in places that we know it's not in the curriculum. So not only are we providing that engagement and access, but we're also, again, building that student confidence.
I love it. I love it, man. I see big things coming under your leadership, right? Good stuff, good stuff. I have a part 2 for you though, Victoria. In that same definition, and let me just read it again. Ms. Lightfoot believes in data-informed instruction, continuous improvement, and empowering students to, no, I'm not even reading the right one. Scratch that. That sentence, no, matter of fact, to cut down on time, let me use that one. So there's another sentence in the bio, which I just read. I'm gonna read it again. Ms. Lightfoot believes in data-informed instruction, continuous improvement, and empowering students to reach their full potential. So now I want to go to that data-informed instruction. I want you to talk to us about your commitment, and that's our word today, your commitment to data-informed instruction. What does that look like?
So unlike most people, I love data because data is information. And the more information that I have, the better it is for me to really think about and be intentional about the level of instruction and support I can provide to others. And so I had many roles that utilized data. My favorite one was being the school improvement chair, but really stepping back and looking, full picture, what information is this data telling me? Do we need more reading interventions? Do we need more math support? And the data tells a story, right? It doesn't necessarily capture everything in the story, but it tells you a great deal about what students need in order to achieve at high levels. And so when I'm looking at the data, I'm looking at what is possibly missing. And so one of my favorite experience of data is I was looking at a data set, and the school that I was with was achieving at high levels. That we were 90% proficient, but when I had the opportunity to dig a little deeper, I noticed that there were certain subgroups that were not college and career ready. And so while they were proficient with a 3, they were not proficient with a level 4 and 5. And so using that data, I can then say, okay, how can we get these students who are just meeting the proficient level to help them excel? And thinking about and considering who in the building can support with that work in order to make sure that they are successful at their highest levels.
Let me stay with you a little bit longer, since you mentioned subgroups. Although you are not in the administrator capacity yet, you are in a capacity where you have conversations with teachers.
Yes.
Talk to us about how we have those difficult conversations with teachers about subgroups when there are generalizations and stereotypes that do exist. How do we counter those? And encountering those, that's the difficult conversation. That's the courageous conversation, if you will. How do we engage in that conversation?
Mm-hmm. So I believe, just like Dr. Cunningham stated earlier, the numbers don't lie. And so if I am talking with a teacher and we're looking at the data and then I'm pointing out, this student received this percentage, this student, right? You can't ignore it. And yes, it's a difficult conversation to have, but it must be had. And, for me, and thinking back when I was in the classroom, I took my data very personally. So if I got my scores back and it said 46% were proficient, that's not oh my goodness, these students can't, they need, no, it's, oh my goodness, I need to be doing something differently? What am I not doing that is causing these students to not be able to meet the benchmark? And so then I start thinking and planning and collaborating with other professionals to see how can I harness the support as well as my resources and knowledge to get those students where they need to be. And so, ownership, and I think it was maybe Dr. Kelly said ownership over what's happening in the learning atmosphere is very important. Even as an instructional leader, right? I'm not going to say, oh, the whole entire school is, way below where they should be, because that's when my drive would stop, my motivation start, right? And my commitment, I'm committed to making sure all students are successful. So I have to see the blind spots and the areas that are going unnoticed in order to really support my whole entire staff and making sure that they feel empowered and inspired and owning the responsibilities of all student success.
Great stuff, and I love what you said about the blind spot. It's real. It's real. Let's transition to those talking points you sent us, and we'll get through as many as we can. Right. I just want to, and just to let you know, I'm gonna read off the talking point and put it on the screen, and then you elaborate on it, and then I may have a follow-up question for you. Let's go. Number one, where we at? Here we go, and that was that's Dan. Dan said, "I'm passionate about ensuring all students, capital letters all students have access to great teaching and learning." What are you telling us? Floor is yours.
I think I'm going to pick up exactly where Victoria left off, which is that it has to start with the data. You have to be really honest and consistent in looking at who's performing, who's not. And then it's all about ownership and honesty. And I think there are moments that come up frequently in those data meetings with teachers where you just need to say, okay, it is not okay to say they're not doing their homework. It is not okay to say, I taught it, they didn't learn it. It requires a degree of they didn't learn it. So what's required of us differently that we are not doing yet? So I think that's the beginning of the cycle, is you have to look at the data. I think the next step then is you have to think about that instruction for all students. What do your language learners need? Are your teachers talking too quickly? Are they not leaning into strategies that we know work for language learners, like leaning into our cognates or thinking about how to make language-rich environments or doing explicit vocabulary instruction, both tier 3 and tier 2? Is it our students on IEPs are struggling? Have we read the IEPs consistently? Do we know what this student needs? Are we starting independent work with checking in with the right students to make sure they understand our tasks? And then you assess and you look at the data again, because it all just goes in that perpetual cycle. And then there's just a philosophy that undergirds all of it, which is all really does have to mean all. And a thing I try to check myself on all the time is it a bumper sticker? Is it a poster? Or is it really a way we talk about instruction? Is it something I say and then I don't give the feedback on? And I really try to model this by saying to my teachers, like, hey, you're instructing well, but the pace of your instruction and the lack of frequent check-ins with kids who need them, like, that's not serving all. Or if we don't look at subgroup data, hey, we're turning a blind eye toward our commitment to all students. Like, I'm proud to work in a school where we have a significant number of language learners and a significant number of students reading behind grade level, but like, that's a privilege that comes with a degree of thoughtful adjustment to our instruction that we need to take on constantly. And I need that not to be a thing I just say, but a thing I model in my coaching and my coaching of my coaches as well.
How long have you been acting principal?
So I was named, technically I'm going to take over principalship for next year. So I lose the acting starting in May, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
I only transitioned, thank you so much. I transitioned from vice principal to acting principal just a few weeks ago, actually.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So the question that I have in my head now, I really want to ask it.
Okay.
I'm off script on this. Talk to us. I mean, we're on script, but it's just the thought is there. You've been in this position for a very short period of time. Talk to us about the mental transition from being vice principal to, forget it, just drop the acting, because you're the leader there. So vice principal within the same school year to principal. Talk to us about that mental transition to where you are now.
I think for me, it's about trying to broaden my lens. I come from an instructional background. I love good teaching. I read about good teaching. I practiced good teaching for a long time, primarily science, but a little bit of math, a little bit of literacy, and I love it. Like, I love the instructional coach seat. And at the beginning of the year, I was primarily doing in my vice principal role, a lot of instructional coaching, a lot of data analysis. And as I get ready for principalship, there's a lot more that goes into good leading that I need to do, and some stuff that I'm not good at yet that I need to get good at. So things like, starting in February, I'm going to be trying to do, like, sit down with our families more and say, like, hey, tell me your experience with the school. What do you like? What do you not like? What's working? What's not? Some of it is talent conversations and having more conversations with my teachers. I think Dr. Cunningham said it well, which is like, you got to ask, hey, how are you? How's it going? And there are moments at the beginning of the year where I think I was more in the, like, gotta go. What teaching are we driving? And there's a lot of, like, how are you doing? Because you're not going to stay if you don't feel like I see you when I take care of you.
Yeah.
There's some of that. There's some thinking about things like the culture world and the college access world that are less in my wheelhouse. And I think there's an extent to which I just need to really lean into being a learner over the next few months and say, what do I not know? And I need to know. What are the moments where I need to, like, drop that persona of I'm in charge and really put on that humility mindset Dr. Kelly was saying, and just say, I don't know how to do that yet, and I need to. Tell me what I don't know. And I think there's going to be a lot more grinding and work in the near future. And I think that's where you kicked us off, Dr. Kafele, in terms of, the commitment that you need.
Yeah.
There's some commitment that I need to make coming my way, and I'm ready for it. But I think that's what my near future is going to look like if I'm going to be really ready to not just be in the seat, but to drive change in the seat. So I think that's my near future.
I love it. And you know what I'm hearing, what's coming across loud and clear is your commitment to your own growth and development as a school leader. Right? You know where you know what you don't know, so to speak, and you know what you got to learn in order for you to become who it is you envision that you will become. So that's good stuff. And I asked you that question for the benefit of folks on here who are new to principal leadership or even AP leadership, just to get some other perspective on how they're approaching it. Good stuff. Let me go down to number 2, which would be Dr. Cunningham. Let me get back on the right screen here. Here we go. And StreamYard gives me 200 characters. So I got to read some of it from my notes here. So what I could fit on, you said, I'm driven by the belief that culturally responsive leadership is not a program, but a daily practice. That deserves me reading twice before I even finish. Hear me, somebody out there. Dr. Cunningham said, I'm driven by the belief that culturally responsive leadership is not a program, but a daily practice, one that requires courage, self-reflection, and systems that center the lived experiences of students, families, and educators. I want to read that second part again, though. One that requires courage. There's a lot. Just in that alone, there's a lot there. That's a whole, like, day-long seminar, right? One that requires self-reflection, the mirror, the game film. One that requires systems. So now you got systems in place. You don't need people directing because the systems will take care of it. That center the lived experiences of students, families, and educators. With that said, Doc, take it away.
I want to jump in on the culture responsive leadership is not a program. I think, to Dan's point, I was just thinking about the transition I made from interim principal of a school I was an assistant principal to the principal seat. The seat is not what you think it is, right? You don't have the lens of the principal seat until you have the opportunity to sit there. And culturally responsive leadership, there's not a program, there's not a book, there's not something that explicitly tells you how to lead. It is about you and how you shift in your day-to-day interactions with people to develop different programs and different processes that allow all people to thrive in the school together collectively. And so for me, the daily practice, it shifts. Every teacher does something different, needs something different. So you have to kind of keep this record. I have a journal that I keep as I'm walking and taking notes on what students need. Dr. Kelly, I was thinking about something you said about we got to a space where we believe that if I'm giving you access, that I'm going to get less. I can't remember your exact words there, but it made me think about the medical field. We both get a diagnosis with high blood pressure, and we don't all get the same blood pressure medication. And I feel like education has gotten to a space where we want to give everyone the same thing, and we're forgetting about how vastly different our schools are and how vastly different the people in those schools are. We have to hear from them what's working and not working. And sometimes when you hear, I'm thinking about self-reflection of myself right now. We entered into a space where I wanted to try a new program. Teachers are trying it, I'm trying it, students are trying it, and the kids are like, hey, Dr. C, we don't like it. That's a self-reflection where you get to a point where you're like, okay, so let's look at what we don't like about it. How did we implement it? What implementation practices worked? What did not work, for all students to be able to thrive in this moment? And then when you realize collectively we agree it's not working, so we're going to do something different. That's responsiveness to your students and to the leadership of the teacher in the classroom.
So, you know, and I'm only, I know what I said off camera, but this stuff is all in your bio and your talking points. So I'm comfortable with asking you certain questions that I wouldn't ask of everybody on the call. Culturally responsive leadership, and I've had Muhammad Khalifa on the platform, who wrote the book Culturally Responsive Leadership. Dr. Muhammad Khalifa out of Ohio State. Talk to us, that person on the call right now who is in a district where we can't do that. I would think the answer is going to be comparable to the one I asked you with equity, but I still want to put it on the table for someone who wants to be culturally responsive, who wants to be culturally relevant, but I'm in that environment. What do you say to that person as it relates to what you just said?
Having had the opportunity to serve in multiple schools, I would ask the person who's saying to me culturally responsiveness is a no-no, how do you define culturally responsive? What is it? Because if you're attaching it just to the skin color of the children, then that is not what I'm speaking about when I say culturally responsive. A female student in a math classroom needs something different than males may need in that classroom. A student who is a Spanish speaker learning English as their second language needs something different. And so therefore the teacher cannot treat every child in that space the exact same. And so if you, again, the vocabulary does not define the work. If you're being responsive to the needs and responsive, and I saw a comment earlier about data being actionable. If you are taking action based on what you see, it does not have to be tied to the racial subgroup in which students are identified.
Yeah, you know, it's so interesting, Doc. I'm a speaker, as you know, in addition to being an educator. I'm a culturally responsive presenter. Right? When we walk into a room, and it's the reason I'm always going to get there early, right? Way before it's time for me to present, because I have to read that room. I can't just go in there. I got some canned PowerPoint in the computer, throw that up on the screen and let's go. No, I've got to get there early, read the room, and that will determine who I will be in that space. For however long whether it's an hour-long keynote or an all-day seminar, I have to be culturally responsive because I want to be heard by the people on the other side of that platform to hear me, right? But if I go in there with my own agenda and just deliver it the way I want to deliver it and have not considered the audience, and as you said, that's not confined to race and culture and so on. That's whatever the dynamics are. I want to make sure that I'm who I need to be in that space, so that, so cultural responsiveness is like like you said with equity, it's really unavoidable. It's just that we may not need to use the language in those places where it's a problem. Because I'm literally requested on multiple different presentations. Please do not use that language when you get here, Kafele. It will get us in a lot of trouble, right? So so I don't use it, but I talk about it without using it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think about just in my current district, I've been a principal of 3 different schools. 3 different type of leadership have like come from who I am as a person based on what was needed in each one of those schools.
Yeah.
This school I'm currently is full circle moment. My whole career started in the school that I'm teaching in right now. I started here in after school program to teacher assistant. So things I've been able to navigate with this community because they know the legacy of the educator I am is so different than when I was helping transform the lowest performing elementary school in our district.
Yeah.
So every space you go and you lead, your responsiveness to that environment speaks to the school culture, to the culture of those families, to the culture of students, and you're changing that for the better. And all students have to be able to be a recipient of the better.
That's right. I love it. I led 4 different schools, and I was not the same person in any of the 4, because they were all different, right? They were all different. Great stuff. Let's keep moving. Where we at? Dr. Kelly, let me get this one up here. Yeah, I was able to fit all of that. With the right combination of challenge, support, and patience, each and every student can reach previously unthinkable heights. Talk to us.
Exclamation point, right?
Excellent.
All my head.
Right.
All right. So just picture like a 3-part Venn diagram. You got to stay with me on this one. All right. So challenge. Every kid knows who believes they can achieve more and who does not. They see right through us. If we act as if they can, they believe that we really think that. If we act as if they can't, they really see that. And so we have to make sure that we're believing every day that our kids are capable of higher levels of achievement and then live that way. They can see right through it if it's fake.
Yeah.
Support. Kids need help in different ways, and we cannot just challenge them without supporting them along the way. The kids know who is willing to put more effort into supporting them. They love those people. They love those teachers. They know right away who is not necessarily willing to put that extra in for them, and they give up on those teachers, and then they look for their love elsewhere. We've got to give them the challenge, and we got to give them the support. But in addition, things take time. If kids were already the way we want them to be, when they walked in the door, they would not even need us. And schools would be pointless. So every time someone says, hey, that kid, I'm like, that is why we are here. Literally why we are here. We are here because of that kid. That's why you have a job, because that kid is not who we want him to become. Our job is to help him become who we want him to become. Combo all of those 3 things together, and you will have kids reaching higher levels. I'm at a school that is majority not English at home and about 1/3 ELs, majority students of color. And if we believe that those kids probably just can't really reach those other levels that we probably our neighbor schools might, we would not have more than half of our kids have 15 credit hours before they graduate, which we do. We would not have levels of AP and dual credit enrollment that we do, but we do because our teachers truly have bought in on the idea that our kids need to see it from us, that they can accomplish at those levels, and we got to act like it, and we got to live it, and we got to make kids feel it in a way that every single day they know that we're here for them. We're going to push them, we're going to support them, and we're going to know that it will take time. It is not a 1 class, 1 year thing. School is the aggregate of all the classes, all the years. If we look at it that way, we can all make a mega difference on the kids. It is not only on one person's shoulders, it's on everybody's shoulders. If we all live that way and be that way, these kids will reach all the levels that we hope for them.
I believe that too. Let me ask this question, which brings you out, staying with our theme of commitment. So given everything you just said, what is the evidence of the keyword evidence? What is the evidence of your commitment to what you just laid out there?
The evidence is, even despite the quintupling of our EL populations, our achievement in our measurables have gone up. Our attendance is up. Our freshman on track is up. Our AP success rates are up. Everything is up. in the measurable achievement ways. And also, our kids report that they love where they go to school. If they were being driven in through this like this meat grinder of academic achievement, but then hated the school they're at, then we would not be successful. Yeah. But they bought into something that we call legacy. It's on my little notebook here. We're Elk Grove, so isn't that nice? We have a beautiful little acronym: leadership, empathy, growth, advocacy, collaboration, and you. It's all over the place in our building. And because half of our students speak Spanish at home, we have legado on the other side that makes it part of, this is something that we all leave for each other and beyond us. And they prove it by the way that they act, by the way that they buy in, and by the way that they achieve. I wish our sports teams were better, darn it. But in so many ways, we're rocking and rolling, and that's my evidence when I see the kids and what they do.
I love it. I love it. Speaking of the sports teams, it's particularly when I became a high school principal, I wasn't the coach, but I looked at myself as the GM. So if I saw things, for those that don't have a sports mind, as the general manager. So when I saw things, the coach knew. I bring that team into my office the next day, and I'll ask, why did this happen? Why did that happen? So that was my way of just giving my 2 cents. I'm not trying to interfere with my coaches at all, but they understood the culture that we had in that building. So, or if I'm just passing you in the hallway and I know you missed a chippy, a layup that you should, I put, how'd you miss that layup? Like, what happened? Oh, man, Mr. Kafele, blah, blah. All right. But just to let them, I'm watching. I want you on the team. I'm glad you're on the team, but I am about winning, right?
I should rephrase that. My teams are good, and their coaches are all in. An athletic director who leads this very way is right there. We're playing teams that are, that have a little more travel sports experience upon the varsity team arrival. And I got a lot of kids who haven't ever done that. And so, boy, do they get better. But then when they're up against those teams that had a little more of that youth, it's a struggle.
Yep. I understand. And then to bring it full circle, what a beautiful thing when that team will come up to me before the game and say, Mr. Kafele, this game is for you. Let's go. All right, let's go. Y'all making me want to get back in the building. My wife always says, yeah, but you want to get back for the wrong reasons. Because I missed that varsity sports program, man. But anyway, Victoria, you said well-supported teachers teach well-supported students. That's brief but powerful. Well-supported teachers teach well-supported students. Floor is yours.
So while we're on the topic of coaches, this reminds me that in any other field, when someone's being coached or having mentors, it's a good thing. It's a celebration. And it should be that way in education as well. When you're pulling out your instructional coaches and providing those teachers with support, it's going to lead to a win. And so when we intentionally support teachers, and this goes back to the comment that I made earlier about now having knowledge of students from a school leadership standpoint, the leadership needs to have knowledge of the teachers, right? Because you have your beginning teacher who is just coming in and they need support, right? They might need, well, most likely they'll need support with classroom management because the techniques and strategies that they learn in school are really not applicable when they actually get on the scene and need help, right? You also have you might have a teacher who has been out of the game for a while coming back in, and they need support building their own confidence because the way that they learned how to do teaching and instruction is not the same way now. And you might even have that veteran teacher who might need support because you just implemented a new initiative and now they're having a little challenge with their identity as the expert, and they need support managing this new initiative that you're getting ready to implement because they might not feel like the expert in this new thing. And so we want to be able to provide teachers with the support that they need. And I'm a strong advocate for differentiated support, especially from a professional learning standpoint. Give teachers options and choices because you may have data-wise, an idea for where your teachers can grow, but there might be some teachers in your building who might need to grow in a different way that the data won't show you. And I often think of myself as a teacher leader. a lot of the learning that I did was self-motivated, because I wanted to learn how to do student-led classroom. I wanted to learn how to integrate data more in my instructional practices, right? But not all teachers have the time and the capacity to take those initiatives on their own. And so thinking about how you can empower them. And one of the things that I think about specifically is when I knew I wanted to do a student-led classroom, I knew that I was going to have my administrative support in doing this new thing that was not being done in the school building. And that was a big component of my growth as an instructional leader. And just knowing that I was going to be given the green light because I wanted to be innovative and creative in my teaching approaches in order to really produce positive student outcomes.
Love it. Let me ask you this follow-up question. There's a principal. This is fictitious now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a principal on the call right now in the comments or just watching, and this principal feels, yeah, I support my teachers well. But then you spoke at a conference, and you discovered, just by the fact that you knew who this principal was with this crazy story I'm creating in real time. And there's a teacher from that school, and the teacher says, I don't feel supported at all. This job is difficult because I don't feel supported. What will you say? Like, let's pretend that this is real, this scenario. I mean, it's a real life scenario, but let's pretend it's like somebody on the call right now. They're watching. What is your message to that leader? Could be an AP, could be a principal, doesn't matter. What's your message to that leader about ensuring that teacher that you met at the conference where you were the presenter
Mm-hmm.
feels grossly under or unsupported?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that I would encourage them to do is be self-reflective and really dive into the reflective question of what is it that I need to succeed, and then what environment would be best for me to be able to grow and thrive there. Because schools are very much like gardens, right? I might not thrive in one environment and setting if I'm not being watered, but I might be planted somewhere else, and I can just quickly, go into the cycle of full bloom. And so, considering, what is it that you specifically need from a school and school leadership, as well as a team, right? We're all in this together to continue your love for the profession and what you do, and to really continue to be committed to the work.
Love it. Let me flip it. Now you're going to talk to the teacher. And again, the teacher told you at the conference, I don't feel supported. What words of advice might you have to a teacher that you really have no influence over because you don't work in that school or district?
So my advice would be to think about the challenges that you're having that's contributing to that lack of support, and think about what is in your circle of influence and control in order to get what you need.
I love it. Who are you aligned with? Who's in your circle?
Who's in your
Right?
circle? Who can I network? Who can I connect with?
That's right.
Can I connect with you?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you know something, they may ask you that, right? Because obviously I'm in those spaces. So sometimes someone may want to forge a connection with me as that mentor. And that goes back to what was said before about the number of times I say yes, right? Which extends my work. But I've said yes to a lot of people, and hence here I am mentoring folks one-on-one because they want to become better at what they do, right? So good stuff. I appreciate all of that. Let's go. Y'all ready for round two?
Yes.
Let's go to Dan. And Dan, you said I'm passionate about pedagogy and helping teachers level up their skills to best serve all learners. Floor is yours. Teach us.
I think it goes back to what I said before and where I come from. I love good teaching. It's something I inhaled as a teacher. I inhaled as an instructional coach. I still do now. And I think it's one of my favorite things to do is just get on the floor, either with teachers directly or with my coaches, and say, what is the thing impeding learning in this classroom? And it can be different depending on the classroom. You know, sometimes I'll go in and I'll say, okay, this teacher knows their content and they are doing 90% of the work. And I might say to the teacher or say to their coach, what moves can they put in place to put more thinking on students, right? Could they flip this? Could they record a lecture, have kids digest it in some other way, and then have students do some sort of a comprehension activity? Do they need to stop more strategically and give students time to chew? Maybe it's a teacher who is asking good questions of students, but is zoning in on one or two kids and not really making space for how do I engage all the brains at the same time. And there's a teacher right now I'm directly coaching on. Could you do choral response? Could you use whiteboards? Could you use tech like a Kahoot to get them all in the game? We've talked a lot about data on this session today. And sometimes I see teachers who are stopping the show to say, hey, I'm seeing this in the work. And I'll say to the teacher, how many times did you see that in the work? I saw it once. Like, no, it's everybody. It is not everybody. And some of that data analysis we've talked about, you need to do after class. Let's look at the work. But a lot of it is, are you staying consistent to check in with every kid? Because if you think they're all missing it, but really it's two, you are taking away from their learning and chewing time that they could be using differently. So this is the kind of stuff I love doing, is just what is the thing that teacher needs in order to level up their classroom and serve all learners. And I think the last thing I'll say here is, I hope I've said it clearly in our time together, the all really resonates for me. And I think that's why my favorite thing to coach on is the data stuff, where I'm like, no, they're all getting it, but these three aren't. Those also happen to be your language learners. What are you going to do about it? And sometimes that's enough to prompt that reflection of, oh, okay. And then sometimes I've got to model and put my teacher hat back on and say, okay, watch me. And I'm going to say, 1, 2, 3, come huddle with me at the front. Everyone else go back into your work. And I'm going to say, you're getting tripped up because of the language. So I'm going to give you a quick mini lesson on these 3 terms. They're cognates, or 2 of these are cognates. You know this because you speak Spanish at home. So let's get really clear. Okay, I'm going to quiz you. Great. Go back in and try to attack that text one more time. And then I say to the teacher, what do you see me do? And my favorite moment of the day is when they go, oh, okay, that was great. Because this is why I became a leader. I loved doing that with my kids. But if I can get that light bulb moment with my teachers or my coaches, that's when that impact expands, that they see this is what good attention to my students' output looks like. And this is how I know I can do something meaningful about it in the moment to drive achievement for all my kids, because all my kids deserve that.
I don't even have to necessarily ask about the evidence of commitment, because I'm hearing it, right? In terms of what the actions behind the theory, the philosophy. I'm actually able to visualize what it is that you're doing, and I can see the evidence, right? So again, to the fam, the focus here is commitment. What is your commitment? What is the evidence of your commitment to the work that you do every day, right? Good stuff. Let me go to Dr. Cunningham, number 6. I'm passionate about transforming schools through disciplined structures and accountability paired with humanity, ensuring that high expectations and restorative practices coexist to create safe, joyful, and academically rigorous learning environments. Again, that's a whole seminar. But break it down for us. You got time. What are you saying?
Basically, we have to come to this space in our head where we believe that every person in the building is worthy of care and true understanding. And I believe I lead with that, with the people heart first. And so when we think about the accountability, we think, what have we done to make sure that teachers and students know what we are expecting of them when we set out to say we're holding them accountable. And so generally, just like Dan, we start with the coaching piece, with the teacher, with the student, to say, hey, let's talk about what your data is saying and how you could improve it. Hey, I have this report from this family. Let's talk about how we can impact that family so they know that you truly have the heart of their scholar in the work that you're doing. Dr. C, I'm sending this kid over here and I'm not really sure what's happening. Let's talk about how you are still accountable to that student, even though they may be getting small group services from someone else. And so just the commitment to understanding every person that is in the community is worthy of that understanding. It's the empathy before we judge. Sometimes the numbers say one thing and what a person may be experiencing could be different. Most recently for our state, we released EVOS data, and some difficult conversations had to be had with teachers about growth. Those numbers don't tell the whole picture for the teacher. And so we are in the process of having individual data meetings with our teachers right now, where we're talking about what impact are you making on your students and how do you know that you're making that impact. It's one of my favorite parts of the year, just because I get to see the passion and the drive of my teachers and what's motivating them to serve the students that they're serving. It's a space where teachers can say, hey, you know what? I didn't really think about my data in that way, or I didn't think about that technique. So you can actively coach in on that coach up as a school leader. I'm a large building for an elementary school. It's almost like a middle school, 758 elementary students, staff of 129. And I had to learn quickly, I can't do it all by myself. And so having a team, shout out to my team on the call, my coaching team, we switched our model this year to kind of make sure our teachers could feel the support that we talk about daily, and make sure that they had a go-to person in between their administrators to make sure that they could be reached for whatever needs were happening inside of their classrooms. The biggest part of that statement to me is joy. When you walk into the front across the first carpet of my school, I want everybody entering this space to feel like this is the place to be and that people are happy to be here. That resonates across our whole community, that there's joy in the space of learning for students. And it goes beyond just the curriculums that we're teaching them. It's what they bring as leaders, as students, leaders as teachers, and leaders as families to our school community.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody want to jump in, or you good? All right, let's go. We doing real good on time. Let me just get back to where I was. Number 7. And that was Dr. Kelly. It is never too late to grow. The legacy pillars of leadership, empathy, growth, advocacy, collaboration, and you transformed our school's culture to year 10 of my principalship. Go on, take it away.
A lot of levels here. Most importantly, Dr. Cunningham, you're awesome. I'm coming to Durham soon. I'm gonna hit you up and visit your school. After COVID, I had teachers come to me and say, we need something to rally around. We were getting by. And it took 2 math teachers, a Spanish teacher, English teacher came as a group saying, we need something. And I said, okay, I hear you. I don't know what. And by the way, if I say the what, you won't do it because it's just me talking. And what is the what? And they said, our kids are just in a funk. We need something different. We need some way, motto, or rallying cry, or something. Let's go. And I said, okay, if you want to lead something, let's go. I will support your leadership of it. And they then hit the ground running. It went. They put together optional meetings, had people come together, talk about what could the thing be. We did it in a Google form vote. What are these different mottos people came up with about things that they thought we needed? And the one that got the most votes was legacy. And so that's what I just showed you that earlier with the logo and stuff. And we worked on a logo and all that stuff together. And I said, staff, I can't do this on my own. Again, if I just say this is what we believe, you'll be like, this is what you believe, but I'm the one that's doing this work. So we asked staff, well, what does that mean? It's a great word. It works for our school's name, but what does it really mean? And staff came together. We had a bunch of meetings. People volunteered to join groups, and we did a mass populating with a word cloud of what are all the things we want our kids to become. And we whittled it down over the course of months to these 6 phenomena. And there are no good why words at all. So you became the word. And for each of these, there are, where does this apply in an academic setting, in a community setting, in a social emotional setting? And for leadership, it's we inspire others through positivity. For empathy, it's we seek to understand while honoring other people's experiences. With growth, we challenge ourselves to make steady and lasting progress. Advocacy, we show up, stand up, and speak up for others as well as ourselves. Collaboration, we unify and work together to solve common problems. And we honor our diversity and embrace our identities. This is all over the building, all over the place. Staff built it. They got the number of ideas people have come up with of things to add on to this is stupefying. There are so many ways this is being used in the building by our staff and then our kids. All these ways that I would never have come up with. And some of them I'm like, that's pretty cringy. High school kids aren't going to do that. Oh, yes, they are. When staff say, you don't understand, just let us try this. And we said, yes. So this is the 3rd year this has been alive and very well in our buildings, and it has made our students of the quarter. We got rid of some of our old awards that kids get when they graduate, and we now give a leadership award, an empathy award, et cetera, and a legacy award for kids that embody all of these things. They have nothing to do with measurable things. They're all the way stuff feels. We still have our measurables, but these are ways we can honor our kids, and it has fired up people in a way that it's hard to explain. Every building has a way they could do this. It's not legacy, but something that people could rally around and build together, if the together part is the key. And I couldn't tell you how much this rejuvenated me and rebuoyed me for the 2nd decade of my principalship at Elk Grove. And never too late for something to be the thing that you say, I don't know, what do you think? Let's give it a go. Don't think that the way you've been doing things has to be the way you stay just because you're so, been in that role for so long.
Yeah. Those are strong words. All of them, leadership, empathy, growth, advocacy, collaboration, and you. The ones that stand out for me, they're all important. But that word advocacy has been my word for a long time. Since I've been in education. Because the word I use, just the equivalent for me is the word fight. Am I fighting for somebody, right? Am I going the extra round, for somebody, and then you think about it in terms of youngster to youngster. Have we reached a point where not only do we empathize with one another, but are we advocating for one another? Right. And I got to see that play out. I won't go into it all, but just a program that I launched called the Young Men's Empowerment Program and the Young Women's Empowerment Program. I put a lot of emphasis on my seniors or my 8th graders, depending on what level I was leading, of being leaders in that building. And I need you advocating, fighting for, not only leading, so to use all these words, not only leading your younger peers, but also advocating for your younger peers where need be, So, but all of those, that's this is good stuff. I'm gonna hold on to that myself. I saw Dr. Cunningham writing, because that's just the combination of legacy, leadership, empathy, growth, advocacy, collaboration, and that last one, you. That's the equity piece right there. When we talk about you, like the individuality of each of the youngsters in the building, you matter, right? And so it's good stuff. I have to take some of that, Good stuff. Let me keep it moving. We are very good on time. Let's go to Victoria, number 8. Teacher leadership matters. Woo. What you saying to us?
So when we're talking about commitment, we can't neglect the thought about a teacher's leadership journey. And all teachers are leaders, and you can build them up to the capacity that you need them to be in order to lead at a school. And so when I think about my leadership, my teacher leadership journey, if someone would have said that I would be presenting at an ASCD conference or doing the leadership things that I'm doing now, I would have told you absolutely no way. And so for me, I was tapped early on in my career. It was my third year teaching, to be the grade level chair. And at first I was thinking, me and my team together, we bring 30 years of experience, and I'm the one bringing the lead. So I don't think that I could lead. And it wasn't that I didn't have the confidence. It was that I knew in order to operate in a level of excellence, I felt like I needed to be the expert. And oftentimes that can be true, but in other times it could be you're not the expert yet, but this leadership opportunity is going to create you that opportunity to gather that expertise, especially when you're supported by your school administrators and teams in order to be able to do that work. And so I think about how, within our schools, we have talented teachers in a multi-generational environment where the new beginning teacher who's year one can positively contribute to the team in the school, just as the veteran teacher who has been there for 25 years. And so when we put all of those skills and talents together, we can really do some great things. And so teacher leadership matters. We want to make sure that all teachers, not just the ones who are always in the spotlight, have opportunities, but tap your teachers who are maybe not as vocal or forthcoming when it's the opportunity to share. Because if you have the opportunity to dig a little deep, you will see that they are probably a gold mine that can really, be transformational to your school and school culture.
Victoria, I'm a brand new administrator, first year principal. How do I identify these potential teacher leaders?
So one way that I would suggest is taking time to get to know your staff, checking in with them in the morning, just kind of asking questions here or there, or even interest surveys. You can gather some information through walkthroughs. I might walk into the classroom and say, oh, this teacher's really good at, this type of instructional practices, doing the total participation techniques, and offering the opportunity to lead maybe at a staff meeting or a PD day, or even having the opportunity to just have teachers visit their classrooms. It doesn't always have to be the expert teacher room that you go to. Give other teachers the opportunity to show off their skills and receive feedback as well.
Love it. Let me flip it. I'm a teacher, and according to your assessment of my performance, I'm doing a very good job. So I'm approached to be a teacher leader. I don't want that, right? I just want to stay in my classroom and teach. Mm-hmm. What do you say to me to convince me?
Well, that's actually a good question. And that was me. And so from experience, my leaders would just empower me. You got this. I know you're going to be great. I will support you. Let me know what you need. Just give it a chance, right? Just words of encouragement. And then it takes a level of risk taking, and then curiosity, and for the school leader asking, what might be the barrier? What is the thing that's holding you back from wanting to fully commit to this? And then addressing those concerns and issues from there.
Love it. And I particularly love that word empower that you used. That's my word, because I say that, we spend all this time trying to motivate. We spend obviously years trying to educate. I said, but where and I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but where sometimes we get it wrong, this word empower, because we can motivate you to go all the way through the years of high school, graduation. We gave you the proper education. But for me, the word empower means the ability to turn the corner, mm-hmm. right? And although I may be enrolled in the university or the trade school or the military or whatever it is, emotionally, mentally, I may not be there to turn the corner, right? Because I don't feel empowered now to take who I am to the next level beyond high school or the next level beyond 8th grade. So one of my challenges to myself in terms of my own self-reflection, self-assessment was, are we empowering young people? Are we empowering our staff? Are they elevating relative to not only their skill set, but just their confidence to be phenomenal in that classroom? And for me, that's the empowerment. And I don't think we talk so much about motivation, inspiration, encouragement, but I don't know that we talk enough about empowerment. It like it was lacking with me. It took me a long time to feel empowered. The inspiration kicked in at some point, but to feel like, okay, I can go out here and I can effectuate change. That's next level thinking now. And that's where we gotta be strong in that regard too. So I appreciate your usage of that word and your whole explanation. Good stuff. We got one more round. Y'all good? Let's go. Number 9. Back to Dan. You said, I'm passionate about ensuring all students have access to instruction that allows them to reach and succeed in college. That's the empowerment. Floor is yours.
I think I'll say 2 things just because I've already talked about what strong instruction looks like. So there are sort of 2 things on my mind. One, I actually don't think we've won on both of them yet. One, a thing I keep thinking about as Dr. Cunningham's speaking, culturally responsive pedagogy and great instruction are not different silos, is a thing that I talk about a lot. We need to be really thoughtful about the students in our seats, and we serve almost entirely Black and brown learners at Libertas in Springfield. And we need to be conscious of that. And I need to be conscious of that as a white leader. And that means they deserve great instruction. The playbook isn't insanely different. So I try to tie those 2 together all the time. That when we say all students in the capital ALL deserve great instruction, like, we will be culturally responsive and we will be strong teachers by just doing what works, right? When Victoria talks about total participation techniques, that makes my brain, that makes me happy because all students need to have brains on at the same time. When we talk about higher rigor instruction, that's culturally responsive pedagogy because all of our students deserve to be doing not just low level recall work. So that's, I think, the first thing that comes to mind. And then the thing that I know we haven't won on yet is the empowerment piece you were talking about. We actually just got our college persistence rates back, and they're not good enough yet. We're having students who are getting to college. We're really proud of that, and they're not persisting. And there's some, I'm going to make you hold up your mirror again because we're not good enough yet. And we have been really honest as a school leadership team about asking, what are we not doing? And I don't have an answer yet. And I hope that sounds humble and not terrifying, but it's some homework I need to do in the next few months, which is, what is it that's sort of around good instruction that's going to empower our kids with the resilience and the perseverance to stick it out? Some of it might be programming and roles and ways to support our kids when they get to college, but some of it is like, are we really treating our high schoolers like young adults? Are we telling them we've got you? Dr. Kelly, when you talked about, high rigor, high support, like that speaks to my heart, but also there's some work we need to do that as I'm looking at my own words, I have to be honest and say, we're not there yet. What does it look like to set you up to be young adults who are going to go out in the world and navigate challenges? And that's what I'm excited to do in the next few months to really think about, because I want our next graduating class to tell a better story.
Yeah. I there's no way in the world I can go to the next one because you said something that I wrote a note, and I want to have a quick conversation with you. You probably know where I'm going. You said it, so that's why I'm gonna go there. But let me set it up this way. I speak to a lot of audiences. Sometimes I'm the only African American, not only in the room, but the entire town, right? Whereas like when other places I go, it may be the entire audience is African American. So I'm in a space that I know very well. I'm very comfortable. I'm very comfortable in the white space because I've been doing this for so long. I've been public speaking for 40 years, right? However, it's still a different preparation for me. right? It's so you reference, I need to be conscious as a white leader, right? And you said it in the context of what you were saying. I want to, if you're comfortable with it, I just want to expand on it slightly. What do you like? We'll keep it with where the context upon which you said it. But let me ask you this: why does that matter? In fact, that's the question. Why do you have to be conscious as a white leader? Why can't you just be conscious as a leader?
I think it's because of a few reasons. Our students, they're high schoolers, they're smart kids, like they know who's got their back and they know who cares about them. And I've made the mistake sometimes of being too in my head about it, but the reality is I am white. I come from a different place in terms of where I grew up and what I had in my privilege. And if I don't lead from that perspective, I'm not listening. And I'm not thinking, and I'm not being conscious of what my students have that maybe I had, because I had a lot and not all of my students do. And if I don't remind myself of that with frequency, I'm going to underestimate what they need from me and what they need from our school in order to be authentically set up for success. I think how I need to navigate that is a few different pieces. I've tried to do my homework. I have, and I still will, in terms of what I read and the professional development I engage with. A big theme that I picked up on this morning that I think has brought all five of us to this table is we've done the homework and we keep doing the homework. And there is some work I need to do constantly because I've got blind spots that come out every week, if not every day, as a white leader who comes from privilege. So I'll keep doing that. And then some of it has to come out in how I move about the building. And you asked me before what it's like to move from a VP to an acting principal seat to a principal seat. There is a degree of like listening and seeing the room that I am responsible for, because I have coaches and teachers on my staff who are teachers of color and leaders of color who share more identity markers and experiences with our students. And if I don't think about that every time we try to navigate a thorny challenge, I am missing out on solutions and pathways and things our students need that I don't know about, that I will miss. And I'm not going to miss them because I'm trying to miss them, but I'll miss them because I've got blind spots and because there are things that just I'm going to miss. And that is a little bit okay, but what's not okay is for me not to listen and take it in and ask, what am I missing? What am I not conscious of? What are my implicit biases? What are the things that are going to make me go left if I'm not really conscious of thinking about what's straight or right instead? And then I think the last thing I'll say is what's incumbent on me as a white leader is just a lot of time with people. I can't go into classrooms and teach on total participation techniques and not think about these things because I will miss things. I can't not put my time and energy into speaking with parents because I will miss these things. And this is this will be my ongoing work, is I love the instructional nerdiness. I never won't need that and love that. And there is a degree of listening, learning, and working with people and not in my own avenue that will be necessary for me to reach the kind of success that some of the people on this call have reached that I haven't yet. So it's important to me. And then even if they don't know it, it's important to the kids I serve, because me learning in this way and leading in this way will ultimately serve our school best.
Wow. Let me. If I could give you a standing ovation, I would, but you'd be looking at my thighs. So I'll keep it in the chair, right? And that's my partner. When you hear me mention the School Leadership Institute we do in July, this is my partner here, Dr. Tammy Moy Johnson, who's applauding you as well as others in the thread. But I appreciate you saying that. I'm just curious before we keep moving. What is your breakdown of students in your building by percentage, approximate this percentage?
So we are a pretty vibrant Puerto Rican population. So that's about, I want to say, I'm going to butcher the percentages. I apologize for that.
Don't worry.
That is approximately 50%. We have a fair number of Black students. That's probably 40. And then we've got some students who are of Asian descent, and then a small number of white students.
Very good. And I'm sure you're up for the challenge. And you know, just based on everything you said and all the learning that you know you need to do in order to make those connections. And like you, my schools were Black until my last school. I had a 30% Latino population, which was coming from a lot of areas. Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic on the one hand, but Central South America and Mexico on the other hand. So I had a lot of learning to do. I almost had to reinvent myself because my style was my leadership style was conducive to the population I was serving, and it was culturally it was me. But now I've got another population of students, and I've got to connect with them, but I got to get to know them. So you know, but that's a whole, you know, maybe I bring you on and we go one-on-one and talk about some things. But yeah, that was I learned a lot that those last 6 years of my leadership in terms of myself. I had to learn me and thereby expand upon something I thought I was in the right place, but now I'm a baby again. Now I got to grow again. I got to learn some things because I got a population of students that I don't know, culturally speaking, right? So that's good stuff. Good stuff. I appreciate that. I'm gonna throw this out here. I'm gonna throw it out here to you, Dan, but I'm gonna throw it out here for the fam, just in case. A lot of places that I go, which is inclusive of when I was in Los Angeles this past weekend, there's 4 books that I literally bring with me to a lot of places, not all, but some. And if I don't bring them, I put them on a PowerPoint and I say, if you've got at least one Black student sitting in that school, it's incumbent upon you. I don't care what the adult's race is. They could be Black, they could be white, they could be Asian, they could be Latino, whatever they are. I say, read these 4 books. I said, because it's one thing to understand contemporarily the various challenges of the world, but it's another thing to understand them historically, right? So I say, number one, always number one, Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett Jr. That's an important book about the history of African Americans in this country, going back to West Africa and making its way to 1619 and then up until he stopped writing the book. It's an old book. Number 2, From Slavery to Freedom by Dr. John Hope Franklin. That book is comparable to Before the Mayflower, but yet different. Number 3, Introduction to African Civilizations by John G. Jackson. That's an intro book, but it's a powerful book. Some might say, it's beyond intro. This is heavy duty deep, and it is. And then number 4, which I'll be highlighting on the first week of February, as I've done every first day of February on this platform, The Miseducation of the Negro, written by Dr. Carter G. Woodson in 1933. The man who was the founder of what we once knew as Negro History Week, but became Black History Month. February, which is in 2 weeks, will mark the 100th anniversary of the founding of what was called Negro History Week. So he wrote 16 books. He was the second African American to graduate from Harvard with a PhD in 1912. But this book, The Miseducation of the Negro, is by far the most important book that he's written of the 16, and the one that everybody still reads, but quite frankly. So those 4 books, I say to educators all over America, if you got at least one Black student, read those 4 books: Before the Mayflower, From Slavery to Freedom, Introduction to African Civilizations, and Before the Mayflower. Are there other books? Of course, there's millions of them. But those are I call them my 4 core books for a teacher of African American students. Then there are other books that talk about just that dynamic in the classroom. You know, that's a whole other discussion. That's not the purpose of this session. But there's so much literature out there just to make a teacher. And I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about the white teacher. I'm talking about the teacher, because I could be Black teacher in a school district of Black children, black students in my classroom that I teach every day, but I'm not knowledgeable of the history, right? So I never confine that conversation to the teacher of a different race, ethnicity, or culture from the students. I'm saying the teacher, right? Because knowing that history is so important. And if you don't know why, because I promise y'all, I'm not getting ready to transition to another topic, but I will say this. Go to my Facebook page and read the post I wrote yesterday. It's called I Have to Say. That's the name of it. I Have to Say. And I'm not going to get into the content. Just read it. And then you'll understand. I'm not going to get into any of that because I don't want to change the subject here. So read it. It says I have to say, and then you'll know what it is. Let's go. Where we at? I don't even know where I'm at anymore. That was number 9. So we're on number 10. There we go. So I'm gonna read some of this from my notes. Where we at? Yeah. Dr. Cunningham said, at the heart of my work is a commitment to developing leaders at every level, teachers, students, and families, because sustainable school improvement happens only when ownership, voice, and trust are intentionally cultivated. Once again, because sustainable school improvement happens only when ownership, voice, and trust are intentionally cultivated. Take it away, Doc.
I want to hit on 2 things before I dive deep into here. I was just thinking about Victoria's comment around not wanting to leave the classroom. And much like Dan and Dr. Kelly there, I thrive inside of the classroom. That's where I find right now as a leader, when I want to make the noise that's around me as a leader quiet, I find myself in the classroom, working, teaching, or finding a group of students to collaborate with. Because I never saw myself in this space. I'm still shocked sometimes about being in this space as a leader. But when you watch the adult light bulb turn on, the kid's light bulb is electric. But when you can change the mindset of a teacher, that is a different type of electricity. And so when I think about the hard work that I do in building leaders, I'm always thinking, I've been at my school currently 5 years. I'm looking at year 9 overall in school leadership. And when I look in my mirror, I'm thinking, have I put enough structure in place that this building could function without me? And when I can say yes to that, I believe it would be time for new leadership. But I believe my work here is still moving, it's still growing. I'm still building leaders to build that sustainability. Does everyone know the processes and structures that we have here? Do they know the why of why we put those structures in place? And so for me, the teacher leadership is the sustainable package for every school. And we have to be open to that as leaders. Not only have you as a leader have to have this strong team in your leadership inner cabinet, but you have to have it amongst your teacher leaders. You have to have a team of teachers that you can go to their classroom and be like, okay, so we want to do X. If we roll this out, what impact do you see that I may not see? Because much like those blind spots you're talking about, Dan, people have to be honest with you about those blind spots. If you're leading in the front of people and you don't feel safe as a leader to trust and move, you got to reevaluate yourself. And so that part of that statement about trust has to be cultivated. You literally have to spend time with individuals, letting them understand better who you are, your vision, and why you're moving that way. I opened this school year with a field trip, right? All of us are choosing Durham Public Schools to educate our students in, whether we drive from Burlington, Greensboro, Raleigh, Bahama, wherever we're driving in our community, we choose to be here at our school. And yet I felt like not all the teachers showing up truly understand the legacy of excellence in the soil around us. And so we did a field trip of our community. And how did we get here? How did this school become established? What was brought to it? Why do people pour into it? When you say the name of our school, why do people react that way? It was important to me to kind of build in you have your own personal why you're here. Let's talk about why you're here is so important to the legacy of the actual school building that has served as a minority elementary school that's high performing for so long. How are we able to sustain that? And then how do we invite families in and share that with them so that they understand our school improvement process is not just a checkbox. You have a part, school improvement team members, and I do have some of my members on the team on the call of a podcast today. It's work. You don't get to just say I'm a school improvement team member. You actually are building and working. And so we have a subgroup of parents that we were struggling with connecting with. You figure out ways to get with those families. What chat groups do you need to create? And then you build parent leadership. One of the hardest things I did was changing and meeting with our parent organization and talking about representation and affirming every single student in our team, and how do we build committees within our parent organization that allowed representation. So regardless if I didn't show up at that PTA meeting, my voice was still noted and heard. And so those sustainable things have to be in place for the school to thrive, and the next leader coming behind you take on something that they can push and move the school forward.
You said a lot there. Wow. Let's unpack a couple of things. Leaving a school, and this is not you now. This is just based on what you said about sustainable school improvement, and particularly when you leave, right? Leaving a school. Let's take this out of Durham and just your consultant, Dr. Asia Cunningham, Asia L. Cunningham. And you're talking to a room full of superintendents, and they're hiring principals, and a principal has established something. There's systems in place, there are processes in place, there's procedures in place, there's achievement happening at a high level, but they're allowing all of that to be dismantled because the principal left. And now they're going to start over with the new principal's ideas, right? Vision, etc., which is not a bad thing. I want that principal to be able to bring him or herself to the building, but those things that worked have been dismantled, and now we started over. I guess different people would see that differently. So I'm putting you on the spot slightly, but we took it out of Durham. What are your thoughts about starting all over when we're talking about a school that was working?
That's deep. And it's hard to separate the two, because when you've done it, it's hard to separate. The work of the leader, like, I mean, there's tears in my office, there's blood, there's sweat, there's disagreements and agreements, there's success, there's wins that the person who will come in front of you never saw or understand why they occurred. But the students will, and the teachers will, and those parents will. And so making them a part of those systems is critical. So when district leadership has to replace the principal, and they send out all of those little notes to, hey, we want to hear from parents. What do you need? What do you think Pearson Town is going to need? Or what do you think? You know what I mean? Whatever. You're giving a survey to better understand what that community needs. And I feel like for a superintendent or superintendents replacing principals at high performing spaces, you have to listen to the voice of those people through those surveys. Because when you go into a space as a leader and the surveys weren't heard or listened to, you find yourself as a new leader in an unfit condition. And so the system itself says we needed X, Y, and Z, and this person is going totally against everything that we know works in this environment. And now there becomes a friction between it becomes almost like us versus them. Superintendents don't want that in their schools. And so my recommendation is truly take time to visually see those survey results yourself as a leader. And then through that interview process, be active and invite students, parents, and teachers to sit at the table of that interview process, so that truly, if you want to sustain the momentum that was happening in that building, the leadership will be able to speak to that and make the best selection on the next leader.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff. There's so much more I want to say about that, but I'm looking at that clock, and I got y'all on here so long, so I'm gonna leave it alone, and we talk about it another time. Where we at, Dr. Kelly? Let me go back to my screen here. And you said assistant principals deserve to be, there's that word, empowered to lead, coached to improve, and inspired to embrace the challenge of improving our school together. That comment speaks to a large part of my life the Assistant Principal 50. I wrote it because of what you said. So let's delve into it. Floor is yours.
So I'm really proud that every associate principal for instruction I've hired is a principal today, except the current one, and she will be. So as well as others that I had in student services and such. And so I just believe that honesty and clarity are essential for the APs. They need to know what you need from them and what you expect of them very, very clearly. And yet they each have expertise that you do not have. If they don't, you hired badly. They better have expertise that you don't have. Is it a Brene Brown thing? I cannot recall. I think it is. But the A work, your A work is somebody else's B work, and you need to align the stuff that you can do in your sleep. You need people around you that they've got things they can do in their sleep that you can't do at all. And if you put that team together, you have strengths in the aggregate that have a system impact that you alone cannot possibly have. And so you got to not be worried about being the smartest person in the room. You got to have people that are better than you at many facets of school leadership. So being intimidated or threatened by people that are really sharp, therefore you better hire carefully and not have them in there. No. So I was told this once, grade A people hire grade A people. Grade B people hire grade C people.
Huh.
They hire down because they can't be threatened by the people they're around. And the greatest leaders have always had people around them that excel in ways that they do not. And so I believe that they put in their time and their best efforts. If you want them to truly be a reflection of what you want in your school, they have got to have the chance to not just symbolically lead, but actively own things that are theirs to truly impact and shape. And when they're doing it to your level of expectation, they deserve to be praised and applauded for it behind closed doors as well as out in the world. And when they are not, they deserve to be told behind closed doors only that there are things that you need from them that they're not doing, and that yet you still believe in them and they're on the team. So let's go. You need your people to be leading when you're not even there in the same way that you would be if you were there. So they've got to be empowered and inspired to do this.
Got to. That's again, the assistant principal is right there at the core of my work. And when those people are relegated to roles such as full-time disciplinarians and cafeteria supervision and bus duty, and not learning anything about a budget, not participating in or engaging in instructional leadership, and I can go on, and then we promote that person to principal. Now we've got somebody who's most unprepared to lead a school, because I never had opportunity to learn all the facets of what it is to be a principal. So I think my favorite audience of all audiences is when I'm in a room full of assistant principals, because they're hungry. They want more. So good stuff, great stuff. We got one more, y'all. One more. Victoria, she said that teacher retention is the new recruitment. And when I read that last week, I said to myself, I said, amen. That's right. It's the new recruitment. And so that I don't take your thunder, because I was getting ready to say something, and I said, that might be part of what she's getting ready to say. So floor is yours.
So teachers are continuing to leave the profession at record-breaking numbers, and it's often the same script, different cast. And so when that new cast come on the scene, as I talked about earlier, they need support, and they often make excellent leaders and should be encouraged and empowered to take on leadership positions. And so when we're thinking about teacher retention, we're thinking about what's making your staff want to stay and be committed to the work that the school has began or is continuing to do towards continuous improvement. And so specifically in the state of North Carolina, we have 43% of our teachers coming in as alternative licensed teachers. And so they need support because they didn't have a traditional schooling like licensed teachers have. And so the principals, school leaders have to have their coaches in place. They have to have their boots on the ground because oftentimes they don't know what they don't know. And so they need you there to coach them through the processes as they're still learning the ropes. And so oftentimes many of those teachers are leaving because they are not receiving the support that they need, because no one really understands the level of support. And sometimes that support has to and can include being outside of your building, perhaps at the district level. And also thinking about what things are your staff saying about the school. Are they walking around bragging, oh my gosh, this is the one of the greatest schools, in the district, I can't wait to go back? Or when people asking, are they telling them a different story that makes the person listening thinking like, oh, but maybe I, wouldn't want to send my child there, or, I wouldn't want to work there. And so I say our teachers are our marketers, and they're our greatest advertisements for the school in which we're trying to retain high quality staff, and then continue to make sure that our school culture is conducive to student learning.
Good stuff. Good stuff. It's, we hear about it, and you're experiencing it. Teachers, people not having an interest in going into teaching, and teachers leaving. But when let me get this back on the screen. Teacher retention is the new recruitment. I had gone several years where I had nobody to, I didn't have to replace anybody because nobody wanted to leave. So teachers who were at retirement age opting to stay for the sole reason that they said they just love working at the building, they love working under my leadership, right? And that was my new recruitment. That was my teacher retention. So I went several years without having to introduce a new teacher to staff on the first day staff come back, because everybody was there. But it spoke, and I hope I don't come across like I'm patting myself on the back, but it spoke to my leadership, right? That folks just, I love it here. I want to stay here. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't even want to retire, right? So I didn't have that as an issue in those years, which were my latter years, my years that I had much more wisdom than I did in my earlier years, because I had been in it for as long as I was. So good stuff. And to the fam out there, take that one seriously. Take them all seriously, but teacher retention is the new recruitment, right? So it's not so much just you trying to find new blood in your building, but what are you doing about the ones who were there that they want to stay there, that they want to grow there, right? That matters. So that takes us to the end. I'm not going to do the rapid fire questions for two reasons. One reason, because it's so late. The other reason, I didn't even prepare them. So so that means I wasn't going to do them anyway. But no, but we were on here for a long time. So I want to be the first to applaud you for just all the information you shared with the fam today. Let me clear the screen. And to the fam out there, those of you who are fam members who've been with us for a while, you know how we applaud our guests. Just hit us up with your favorite emojis. And that's the way we applaud our guests every Saturday morning. Just hit us up with your favorite emojis. Keep them coming. And let me get my favorite emoji, which is my Louisville Slugger baseball bat. And every time you came to the plate, you hit it out the park. So we had a bunch of grand slams, and that's always a good thing. I decided usually when I wear my Negro League jerseys, I just take whatever's next in the closet, but I didn't do that this time. I deliberately grabbed this one out the closet. Kansas City Monarchs, Satchel Paige was one of the pitchers for those out there that may not know. Not arguably, he was the best pitcher in the Negro Leagues, but arguably one of the best pitchers to ever live, despite the Negro League. So in whatever league, and I won't get all into that history of him, but whenever I wear a Monarchs jersey, and they always have number 25 on the back, that was his number. I have these in different colors. I got the home jersey, I got the alternate jersey, I got them all, and I just feel a sense of, I feel like Superman when I put on a Satchel Paige jersey. So I'm saying all that to say that with what you did today, with those emojis coming, they're still coming. Just a powerful session. I don't know who on here. Yeah. Dr. Lewis said, and he's from Mobile, Alabama. Yeah, the great Satchel Paige, man. A lot of history there. A lot of history. Keep them emojis coming, y'all. Keep them coming. Keep them coming, because this was a strong session. I don't know if anybody out here on the call does any consulting, but let the folks know how they can just, stay in touch with you in terms of social media. I don't know if you want to give your email, that's on you, but social media, if you do any consulting or thinking about it, then, in that case as well, so they can get in touch with you and bring you out to do some speaking, do some consulting. Let me start with Dr. Asia Cunningham. How do they stay connected to you?
You can certainly, I am CEO of A Credible Consulting. Definitely can reach me via dr.asiacunningham@gmail.com directly. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow me. I've commented a lot in the chats today, and just want to say thank you for letting me be here. Principal Kafele, is always an honor.
Oh no, I'm honored to have you here. You know that. And so Dr. Cunningham family represents that next wave of folks out here doing this work. I'm part of the old guard now, but here we got this whole new generation of folks on the come up doing this consulting work. So certainly you want to reach out to Dr. Cunningham, and keep in mind she does have that that Milken pin that she's wearing, so she does it at a high level. So you reach out to her. Let me just go in the order that you got, reverse order that I have you on the screen. So I go to Dr. Kelly. How do they reach out to you?
So on Instagram, I am EG Principal. I thought that was funny in the year 2013. And there you have it. EG is Elk Grove. That's my school. EG Principal. And then I'm on LinkedIn, Paul Kelly. You just reach out anytime.
You do any consulting?
I did back in the day, and I've dedicated myself to my family and building right now, but I'll be back. So down the road.
Understood.
But open anytime for just talking. No questions asked. Anybody ever reach out, talk about any things we talked about today, I'm always on, always ready.
All right. Good stuff. Dan Adler.
I'm not great with the social media these days, but I don't mind sharing my email. I would love to hear from anybody. It's dadler@libertasacademy.org. That's probably the best way to reach me. Also, LinkedIn, Dan Adler is fine. Looking forward to continuing the conversation with some of you soon.
That's good stuff. And I might add, Dan, those out there doing your instructional leading, your instructional leadership in science might be an area that you feel less competent, then Dan's your guy, right? So reach out to him, because he may have some insight in terms of just how to go into a classroom and observe a content area that you may not necessarily be conversant in. Of course, we want you to be strong with the pedagogy, but he may be able to give you some insights on how to just look at the science teacher, right? The biology teacher, etc. Right? So that's good stuff there. And then last but not least, Victoria Lightfoot.
You all can connect with me on Twitter or Instagram. My name is So Scholarly. On Facebook and LinkedIn, it's Victoria Lightfoot, and I am open to conversation and consulting. My email is vlightfoot@wcpss.net.
All right. Great stuff. So you heard that, folks. Victoria and Dr. Cunningham are doing the consulting. So, reach out to them. Other than that, and y'all stay on it when I go off. Appreciate everybody for being here on this week number 300. And I should always say I appreciate the folks who will watch the video, because although I think we're at somewhere around 3,000 people tuned in today, but the video, we get so many more that watch the video, right? Because it's during their time. People are gonna be home tomorrow while it's snowing before them football games, so they probably be watching, right? So thank you to the folks who don't watch, who will not see it live, but see the video. That's always appreciated. Just tune in however you can. Next week, number 301. And my guests next week. These are my brothers, right? These, all of my Milken families, my brothers and sisters. But these two guys, they special. These are my guys. So I decided no one else could come on with them. This is their second time coming on together. This is my man Wade Whitehead out of Virginia, and my man Natter Twal out of California. So we're a threesome. This is what we do. So we'll be on together. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's not just going to be informative, but it's just going to be fun being on with my brothers Wade and Natter. So tune in, y'all, for 301, 11 o'clock next Saturday. Wade's bio, I mean, we're talking about a 30-year educator who taught in the same classroom for those 29 or 30 years that he said he's in the same classroom, never left it. Now he's out here doing his thing independently, but he stuck to that one room. But we'll talk more about that next week. Let's see, Facebook Live every Saturday morning. Sean Hurt, 10 o'clock, Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30. AP New Principals Academy, 11 o'clock, preferably YouTube. And then PGP podcast with Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno, 6 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday. So that's 6 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, right? I know you'll be watching football. Just turn the volume down and check out what they're saying as I do. They know I do it that way. Make sure that you get a copy of What is My Value instructionally to the teachers I supervise. If you don't have a copy so far, just get yourself a copy. And I promise you, it won't lead you wrong, right? It's a lot of good content for those of you that want to enhance your instructional leadership game. Since I held this book up before, let me do it again. The Assistant Principal 50, Critical Questions for Meaningful Leadership and Professional Growth is a subtitle. Get yourself a copy if you don't have it. Not only assistant principals and aspiring assistant principals, but veteran principals and superintendents, assistant superintendents, because you got to make sure that these folks are being utilized correctly. And I always say that the assistant principalship is the most misunderstood and underutilized position in all of education. So it's an important book. So make sure you get yourself a copy. My our February conference, I'm not gonna pull that up again, but just go to my Facebook page or watch the beginning of the video when we talk about the Nurturing Greatness Conference, February 16th, President's Day, South Orange, New Jersey, Seton Hall University. We'd love to see you there. Particularly the Jersey folks that don't have to fly and all that kind of stuff. Come on out to the conference. Join us February 16th, Seton Hall University, South Orange, New Jersey. More information will be on my Facebook, all my social media platforms, so you'll see it there. But we want to see you in the building. Subscribe to the AP New Principals Academy YouTube channel. We just about at 24,800 followers. Maybe we'll hit it today. It's like 790 something. So 24,800 followers will be there soon. Should be there by next Saturday. Certainly be a part of that number. We shooting for 25,000 subscribers is the word I should be using. Visit principalkafele.com. And then finally, your diet, your exercise, and your virus precautions. Y'all, I got something in me. I can function. I could go to the gym if I wanted to. I'm feeling good. But there's something lingering in me that has never lingered this long as it relates to sinus and allergy. This is not normal. I don't know what this is. I'm sitting here taking cough drops while we talk. I don't know what this is, but it won't disappear. I'm on antibiotics. I'm on all sorts of medication right now, but it won't go away. So that's what I mean by taking care of ourselves. Apparently, I did something that I was around somebody, airplane, touching stuff, whatever it was. And here I am. I'm struggling, right? But we'll get through it. See, I'm clearing my throat. We will get through it. So other than that, y'all, have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Now we flip it. Peace. Now we go thumbs up. Now cock that fist back all the way and count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I will see you all next Saturday at 11 o'clock Eastern time.